E3, E3 Media.
Well, prepare yourself, guys. Chris with Talking Through the Media is your home for entertainment news by fans, for fans. I'm your host, Chris Fagan. It's Wednesday again, as you know what that means, guys. It's a time for me to mess up. Prepare yourself. It's a time for me to mess up the microphone. I was hearing an echo in my ear, so let me try that. Let me pretend like that didn't happen. 3, 2, 1, and I'm back. All right, guys. So you guys are in for a treat. We're joined by. I want to introduce to you to this panel of Venom watcher. What do we call ourselves? Team Venom 2? What is I don't know. We'll figure it out during the show. But we're
Amanda's Team Marvel.
Exactly. So we're joined by a special guest. I want to introduce Amanda. I see your display at the bottom. Is it fire?
Oh yeah, that happens. Yeah, that's my legal name. But hold on, I'll rename myself.
But you guys know her from TikTok. Look, let me. I was just telling her, look, don't worry about the intro. I got you, Amanda. This is the conqueror of Marvel Studios, right? We're in the presence of this woman right here. Look TikTok in the eye, and TikTok blinked. This lady right here before you said, "I will not be denied. My geekdom, my nerdism is so strong. The world." Well, I swear to God, this woman has invented the Infinity Stones. That's what I'm telling you. She is conquering all the TikTok. It's hilarious. It's all the people that I wish would follow me are always talking great about her. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask her to get on the show. And she said, well, the check cleared, so she's here. And so, guys, Amanda, you guys know her. It's Amanda Just Vibing, right? Is where
yes,
you can find you.
Amanda Just Vibing.
Just vibing. See, and that was one of the things that I liked about her name, because I'm all about the good vibes. And also joining us is just Jameson.
Just Jameson.
Hey, buddy. What's going on, Jameson? I appreciate you coming back, man.
Hey, just happy to be here.
You're usually with us, Jameson. I know you're usually with us on the Thursday shows. We talk more about entertainment news on Wednesday, and we mix it up with some movie talk and whatnot. And then on Thursdays, I try to make it more about the movie stuff. But this time it's going to be different. So since this time, we're going to be focusing on just one movie in particular. So as you guys have been seeing me online begging you guys, come on, watch it. It's going to be a fun show. We're going to be talking about Venom. Spoiler review of Venom. So this is an open spoilers discussion of Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. So we're good. So if you haven't seen it by now, then prepare yourself, because all three of us are going to do a live reenactment of the whole movie. I will be playing all the parts, and they will be encouraged. No, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna do our little speculations and give our thoughts and our little review of the movie. And we want you guys, if you're watching us live, share your thoughts. I'm watching the comment section, so chime in, and like I always say, guys, let's keep talking. If you want to check out our show, if after we finish airing it and you don't have time to watch it on YouTube, you can also catch us on podcast. We are on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify. So if one of those are your favorite platforms of podcasts, I'll click the button, join it, and say Amanda sent me. So because I get 5 cents every time you guys say that. We're working out our contract. Don't worry about it, guys. We're worried. But we're gonna get into. Let me try to. If you guys will indulge me real quick, I'm going to try to fix the camera so the display will make sense while we're talking. I'm gonna have Venom in the background, and there. Okay, they can't see what I just did, but you guys can see. I have Venom and Carnage, the poster behind us as we're talking. So no lower third. I know the graphics don't look the same the way they normally do. And like I said, I'm watching the chat. So if you guys can chime in and let me know what you guys are thinking, it's going to display on the bottom right corner of the talk. And if you guys in the panel can't, if you're not watching YouTube while we're talking, I'll let you know if anybody has anything to say to one of us. If they say, "Hey, Amanda, I saw you on TikTok," I'll stop the show and let you know what they're saying. So,
gotcha.
All right. So now that we know the rules, Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. Who wants to go first?
Okay.
What were your thoughts?
Alrighty, so I'm gonna preface it by saying that like I got to see it early. I actually got to see it that Monday. Hold on, wait, it's what day was it? I got to see it on the 27th of September. IMAX was awesome. They invited me, and so I saw it as a pre-screener, and I had to hold in all of my spoilers for what felt like forever.
How did that? How did that feel?
I wanted to talk about it so badly. Like my friends were like, "Was it good?" All I could say was that I liked it, and I couldn't say any. I wanted to talk about it so badly, and I couldn't talk about it with anyone except for the people I saw it with. And I was like, "Oh!"
So they did have an embargo on it. I think I even reached out to you and I asked if was it you that I reached out to and said, was there an embargo? Did you get that message?
Yeah. So I basically just like I couldn't say anything until like other people saw it, like even past that. So like I was just completely like zip mouth, like knowing this information. And like my husband came with me, so he saw it with me. And I was like, I'm just saying all these things. And he's just like, I just wanted to watch the movie. Like so I was just nerding out by myself in silence, just like dying for my friends to see it. So overall, I am the type of person, I like to go to the movies and I like to be entertained and I like to have fun.
Right.
So like I'm not always expecting like a cinematic masterpiece. You know what I mean? I like to go to, especially comic movies, like superhero movies, I like to have fun first and foremost. And I had a really good time watching it. I laughed a lot. And it almost reminded me of a rom-com. Like it was like a really just super powered, very weird rom-com. And like I enjoyed the effects. I think it could have benefited from an R rating. I think it being PG-13 kind of held it back because just the nature of Venom and Carnage and the nature of like the subject matter, I feel like it should have been rated R. But as far as the movie as a whole, I had a great time. I laughed a lot. I did like it better than the first one. I saw the first one twice when it came out, with two different groups of friends, and I really enjoyed the first one, even though it was just it was so weird and it was so like, it was just a fun movie. That's all it was. But I do think this one was better. It was very fast paced. It put a lot into 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's not. It was
felt like
it was shorter than the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like there was. By the time you registered what happened in like one act, the other act was already starting. So like I would blink my eyes and be like, "Oh, we're there already. That's okay, cool." So you kind of had to like keep up with it because it was very, very fast. I do like the dynamic between like Eddie and Venom again. It was very much like weird roommates, and they were roommates. Oh my god, they were roommates. And it just and then the after credit scene, I audibly screamed. Like there was a scream that ripped throughout the theater, and it was so funny because on one of Straw Hat Goofy's post, one of the people who was also there commented like, "Did you hear the scream in the theater?" And I replied back, "It was me. I screamed."
Wait, you were there with other people from TikTok?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I have. Okay, so before the show ends later, I got questions, but we'll talk off air all day.
Got it.
Real quick. So Jameson, you got to see it too, but you got to see it after it aired. I'm sorry, after it on Friday. I'm sorry, when everybody else got to see it. You saw it on the weekend, right? What did you think about it overall?
I actually just saw it. Like 2 hours ago.
Oh, really? I thought.
Wow.
Oh, I thought
2 or 3 hours ago. Yeah.
Really?
No, yeah. So I saw it in 3D. Just there was like 3 other people in the theater with me. But I agree with Amanda that it would have been. I mean, it was cool. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I loved the. I was just thinking about the amount of work that they had to have put into, the Carnage and Venom fight scenes and animating all of that, and it was really, really cool looking. Definitely something they couldn't have done like 20 years ago. Well, but I agree that it would have been cooler if it was a little darker and R-rated. Like it was cool having the humor, but if they could have made it a little darker, because the subject of Venom and Carnage is pretty dark. Well, and especially Carnage. I mean, he said the lines in there a couple times, like, "Oh, I am Carnage," or "I'm going to bring Carnage," or something like that. But I was noticing like all the bodies, like it was just
Very
that
bloodless.
yeah, it was there were bodies laying all over, right? But there wasn't blood everywhere, you know.
Well,
And I
it was.
and I
It's almost as
and
if
I,
it was PG-13.
yeah. But I mean, like you know, a more Mortal Kombat kind of vibe, just
Right.
blood everywhere. Because it's like you got his name's Carnage, and he's a serial killer, and he's supposed to just wreak havoc. And if I'm thinking havoc, you know, like after he broke his girl out of that facility, and you saw the bodies laying everywhere, I'm like, there's no blood anywhere, and they're still intact. Like he was, you know, like did a tornado in there and stuff. I'm like, you should have seen limbs everywhere, and you know.
There was
Just
no
a lot
there
more,
was
a
no
lot more
budget for
gore and
limbs.
carnage.
No budget.
There was no budget for limbs. But overall, what did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I liked it. But yeah, I wish it was a little more R-rated, and I wish it was a little longer too. It seemed like it ended, and I was like, never. She's never. No, but the other one was definitely, if you know, it was longer, they were able to do more with it, and this one, like, it's such a cool story.
Right.
I feel like they could have added more to it, and we wouldn't have been bored and been sitting there thinking, oh, it's too long, you know, like, yeah, it kind of ended, and I was like, but
you wanted, so you overall, you wanted more from it.
yeah, because it was cool. Now, one question I do have is, why is Venom so fucking messy? Like,
I have a theory about that. I think all that messiness, I think he was just messing with Eddie the whole time.
No, but they live like that. He's making breakfast, and just shit is going everywhere.
Here's the argument against that. Remember when Eddie took over? I mean, Venom took over Eddie's hands, and he did that from memory. He was able to, like Picasso, just draw what he saw on the wall.
Yeah,
you can't tell me that he can be that precise. He's that detailed, that precise, that in control. But
so
he's just
why is he so messy?
I think he was messing with it. What do you think about it? Was Venom just messing with Eddie?
Okay, so first of all, if my memory
because you saw it like saw it like a year ago, so yeah.
In the first, that's another thing too. I need to rewatch it because I'm the type of person where I watch things for entertainment first, and then for analytics second.
Right.
So I still haven't seen it a second time.
Right.
But if my memory suits me correctly, after Eddie moved out from living with Anne, he was also super messy. He was just a mess of a person. But same. But I think it's just kind of amplified. That's another thing too. I love how Eddie always looks he looks like crap all the time.
Yeah,
he's sweating the whole movie.
That was consistent. I think that's just a Tom Hardy thing.
He looks like he's always sweaty and on the verge of a meltdown all the time.
He's probably
so funny.
He's probably constantly on set trying not to make the same mistakes he was making on during Mad Max and stuff. Is Charlize here? Okay. Oh, gotta keep it under control, Tom.
It's so funny because it's such a different vibe from Mad Max too. I remember I love Mad Max, but I feel like I kind of what Jameson's saying, where Venom's just kind of messing with him. He's just they're both a mess, and then when they're together, it's just an amplified mess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even after Eddie fixed his apartment, it still looked pretty rough, you know?
Mm-hmm.
After he fixed everything, after he vacuumed everything and patched up the walls, it still looked like a mess of an apartment.
I mean, the cost of living in San Francisco is pretty expensive, you know?
And that's another thing too. I'm just dude, he invested in a TV and he invested in an expensive ass bike, but he still lives in a closet.
The cost of living's got to be crazy.
Yeah.
That's San Francisco. I mean, Venom was just that TV budget must have been crazy because that was
it was a $2,000 TV.
I think they were lying about that. Look, that was just Sony trying to sell TVs. Let's stop pretending.
It was product placement.
Let's stop pretending who invented. I got a Sony tripod holding my camera up right now. So I know Sony's game. So okay,
but the new TV he bought wasn't a Sony. I actually noticed that because they had the box there. I'm like,
really?
that's a good product placement. Yeah.
What was it?
It was some like
A Vizio?
VI. It was some brand I'd never heard of,
So-
Huh.
like Gavia or something. I don't know.
Vizio. It was probably. I bet
It,
it was
no, probably a
wasn't,
Vizio.
it wasn't Vizio because I recognized Vizio. I would have, it was something I'd never heard of.
Walmart Great Value TV. That's probably what.
Probably,
it was.
yeah.
Maybe it was a made-up brand, so they didn't have to pay anybody.
Probably,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
They do that all the time.
But Sony,
but they
Sony's
conveniently
right
had the
there.
box out there.
Yeah, but okay, so that's I got you guys thoughts. So overall, you guys liked it. All right, let me rain on this parade.
Okay.
I'm not,
Spill the tea.
It's
Well, I mean, there were things I didn't like about it.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Things I thought, just like with the storyline too. Well, I mean, first, so you brought up like how he was able to draw something so fast.
right.
I'm like, why is he a fucking journalist? You could be like Picasso. You could make a ton of money being an artist.
That
you
was
know?
a good skill,
Like-
or at least Venom could.
or a million other things. Yeah, it's like he's. I felt like he was living way below his potential. Then when Carnage became Carnage, and I was like, man, he's doing it right. You know, he's not sitting there like sulking and like sweating all the time. He's doing what he wants. You know,
he was there. They were about to live the dream. But
yeah.
when I watched, I put this up on my. It took me a couple of days for me to write my review. I didn't do I wanted this to be the first time I got on this channel and talked about Venom, because I usually watch a movie and then I'll immediately come up on the channel and I'll do my review. And for some reason, I didn't have the urge to. When on Venom 1, I was with my friend Sean. We saw it. My expectations were low. I kept them low. I was still hurt about what happened in Spider-Man 3. But when I watched the movie, I purposely did not say a word after we watched the movie. When we walked out of the theater, we went to a space to record our review. And the first words that came out of my mouth was, I was pleasantly surprised. And my friend Sean was like, he was shocked at how much I love this movie, because he was expecting me to poo-poo on it. Now, I did not hate this movie, Venom 2, but the way I feel about Venom 2 is what I expected to feel about Venom 1. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's been, for some reason, it was flipped. The things that that worked so well in Venom 1, the whole, the friendship between Eddie and Venom, it's understandable. I know even in the comics, Venom loves Eddie. He protects him. He cares for him. People are thinking that that's the reason that the movie is not going to be good, because the whole relationship between Eddie and Venom is so dialed out. No, that is Venom. I mean, yeah, he's more lethal in the comic books, but it's the comic books. But they did capture that they do have a bond, and they captured that very well in the first one, and I think they captured it well in the second one. But it was just that it felt like the problems with, and this is what I wrote in my review, the problems that people were saying that were happening in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 felt like they were happening again in Venom 2. Like the fact that it felt to me like we couldn't stay consistent on who this movie was targeted to. Is it targeted to just being a comedy? I know the first one was a little funny and everything, but it felt like they were more leaning on the whole ketchup spilling, breaking your nose and just being bad roommates kind of a movie. And then at other times it was extremely serious. That reminded me of the problems that I was having with Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was like, who are you trying to make this movie for? Little bitty kids for Sesame Street, or breaking the love of your life's neck because you didn't save her in time? Like, it was like, whoa, everything was like, to me, it was just too jarring. We were getting super, super silly, and then on the top of a hat, we're murdering 50 cops in a prison and stuff. Like it just felt like all over the place.
All dissonance.
But the other thing that I kind of felt like I had a problem with was what people were complaining about with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. How we were forcing the whole notion of we've been wanting Spider-Man and Venom to fight for so long. I felt like I don't know why I got those vibes again. The problems that we were all saying that were going on in Spider-Man 3, and the problems that people were saying in Amazing Spider-Man 2, I felt a little bit of both of that for some reason in this movie. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. But the things I did not like about the movie was everything with Venom and Eddie. I loved everything else. I loved Carnage. I loved Shriek. I loved everything else. But I did not like Eddie and Venom in this. And it was their damn movie. And I don't know why I did not. But that's That's my quick little review. So you guys in the comment section, prepare to hate on bring it on. Come on, nerds, I'm ready for it. Bring the heat. Well, what do you guys think about that? About my
Well, I mean, going back to the whole R-rated thing, like you said, you kind of felt like you didn't know where it was marketed to, and I think part of that is because there were all these dark things happening, but it's like they did them, but they didn't commit fully to them. So it's like you could have gone really dark with it, because she died, she got smashed by the church bell, right? Super.
Shriek is still alive.
But they didn't really revisit that. It was just kind of like it happened, and then there wasn't. I didn't feel like as much of an emotional connection to this movie as I thought I was going to, and as I had for the first one. And I think a lot of it was just like the character development and then things happening. And it's like they didn't, there should have been more gore, more things where like you feel it. And going to Squid Games, it's like I just finished watching Squid Games, and it's like had very.
We're not talking about Squid Games yet because Amanda hasn't seen it.
Yeah, not yet. But I mean, just finishing watching that and the level of writing and the gore that was in that, like that took you to places. And it's like then I came and saw this, and I'm like, okay, it was a good, goofy action movie.
Yeah.
But I was hoping there would be more of a relationship building with Brock and what's his name? Carnage.
Cassidy? Cassidy?
Yes, Cassidy. And like they interacted a couple times, but it wasn't enough. And Cassidy was like, well, I just wanted you to be my friend. But
that part was understandable, but at the same time it felt weird.
Yeah.
Me. I don't know why. Let's lean in on that.
I kind of want to talk about that too. That was one of the things I was going to bring up that was kind of off to me, because that was one of the things where it's like all I wanted was your friendship, but it's like, but at the same time, y'all weren't close enough to be friends. You know what I mean?
Dude, I don't know you. You're a serial killer, and you bit me. I'm not gonna be your friend.
So they should have built that more, and they should have had more dialogue leading up to that, where it's like, I want this, but then that kind of did come out of the blue because they didn't develop it earlier on. So it's like you could have had an extra 30 minutes making it darker and having more interaction with them, like on a human level, before all the fighting.
A better example of like a serial killer versus like good protagonist relationship would have looked like see Silence of the Lambs, basically, where it's like you can kind of see that mutual understanding between Clarice and Hannibal, where it's like, Hannibal's an awful icky person, and like Clarice is obviously trying to bring down someone else with the help of Hannibal. However, they still have this kind of understanding with each other.
Right.
They should have kind of went that route if they wanted us to believe that Cassidy wanted to be
Eddie's friendship.
Friends with Eddie.
Yeah.
Because other than that, we just got Cassidy being a freaking jerk to him, basically, like all the time. There was no fondness, and that's the thing. There needed to be fondness. There needed to be some kind of mutual respect between the two, despite the fact that they were enemies.
Exactly.
That's what it was missing.
That whole line made no sense to me, because that's where an extra, like you said, 15, 20 minutes of constant like solving of the mysteries, like you said, perfect example, Silence of the Lamb style, that and more interactions. But every time for the little times that we did see Venom and Eddie and Cassidy interact, just like Jameson said, it was too short for one, brief. And it was very brief, and each time it was constant. Forget the cage that was between them. There was no like, Eddie didn't respect him as a human. No. He's just getting an interview from a serial killer. There was no moment where we got Cassidy's past story, and real quick, the way they quickly and briefly gave us his past story was done perfectly. I love the timing of the animation part. That was perfect.
That was a really cool sequence.
But it wasn't. But we didn't get enough of a moment where Venom, where Eddie could hear something that Cassidy would say during those interviews, where Eddie would go like, huh, or something like, or like, okay, I see, like kind of like understand Cassidy in a small little brief little human way to make that line make sense at the end. It was just, I needed a friend. Like, why the fuck did you bite me? Like, what the fuck? Like,
They should have gone in more on the fact that both Cassidy and Eddie are from families who didn't really love and support them.
They could have gone there.
Been the bonding point.
They
brought it up and then they did nothing
went
with
straight
it.
past it. Exactly.
They went straight past it.
Yeah.
What they should have done is gone in on that and been like, hey, your dad like didn't like you and didn't want you because of like the loss of your mother, and my parents felt the same way. They thought I was a monster. They thought that I was the source of all their problems. They needed to bond over that, have the mutual understanding and respect over that, and then I would have
bonding over their similarities. That would have
I would have more so believed that Cassidy was ultimately looking for friendship despite doing it in a very twisted serial killer fashion, basically.
Yeah.
And
what's it, real quick, Granda Legend says she has majestic eyebrows. You're getting compliments on your eyebrows right now.
Thank you. I did nothing to them.
Majestic.
I'm wearing no makeup right now.
I never get complimented on my eyebrows. This is my channel. I've been doing this channel for years. No one ever compliments me. Nobody ever says, "Hey Chris, you look very well rested today." Everybody always gets on this channel and goes, "This guy again?" That's all they say to me. I don't get it. That's why I have guests on this show, because people just hate. You're a bunch of haters. I don't know why I did to you. Because I'm always talking shit. That's probably why. But moving on let's go to another topic real quick. Like, what did you guys think about who else we want to talk about real quick? Shriek. We brought Shriek.
Well, I do have one thing with the so that theme that they were bringing up. To me, that was one of my big takeaways from it was that they could have done more talking about with and they could have done it through building the relationship through both of them, in the jail cell. But they brought it up, and I feel like the director, whoever the writer, wanted to make it kind of a theme about mental health and how we treat people, and how not Eddie Brock, I keep forgetting his name, but Carnage, basically how he was a product of his environment.
Mm-hmm.
And they touched on it lightly, but what I thought was interesting is, I don't know if you guys have seen on Netflix this series called Monsters Inside. It's about this guy called Billy Milligan, and he's a schizophrenic person, and he was locked up because he was attacking women on college campuses, but he had serious mental health issues where he would have different personalities, and there was like he had 24 personalities.
Oh, that's total. DID. I believe that's dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah. Dissociative. Yeah. And so he had these different personalities, and some of the personalities would do things to people, and he didn't have control over it. And so he would, black out and then wake up and, not know where he's at and not realize what he'd done. And so when they took him to jail, he was just confused. A couple of his personalities were just really confused, and like, well, people are saying I did things and I didn't realize I did them. And the whole thing, watching the interactions between, the symbiotes in their human form, I'm like, that's almost like DID in an effect. Like, they have these different personalities that they're not in control of. And when he was, you saw the struggle of when Carnage was killing, what was her name? Siren?
Mm-hmm.
Shriek. When he was killing her, and then, man, I'm so bad with names right now. Cassidy.
Mm-hmm.
So Cassidy is like, no, don't do that. Why are you doing that? That's my wife, and but he doesn't have control over this other part of him. Right. And I was like, man, that's kind of like DID in a sense, like, except for his other consciousness is conscious at the same time, and so they're going back and forth.
Yeah, I remember that part. Carnage warned him, like, if she does her powers again, I'm gonna rip her face off.
Yeah,
that was interesting to me.
But he still didn't have control over it, and so he's trying to, he appreciates the powers, but and what they're doing for him, but then he's at odds with them too. And the whole time I was thinking, I'm like, man, this is kind of like Billy Milligan, and the reason that Billy Milligan developed all those personalities was from trauma in his childhood. He was severely abused, and so Carnage brings up at the end, he's like, hey, you left out half of my story. You left out, I killed my mom because she did this. I killed my grandma because she was abusing me. It's like all this stuff happened to me, and all, and then they locked me up in this this house with these kids. You know, he's like, I turned out bad because, you know, I was beaten and well, not just the system, but his upbringing, the trauma from his family, his grandma, his mom, his dad. He's like, I did these, like, I wasn't just, you know, doing them for no reason. Like I snapped and did these things because of that. And then they locked me away in this place. And it's like basically my family and the system kind of like I'm a product of that in a lot of ways. And the system screwed up and they just kept me like that. And then they're going to, you know, just get rid of me at the end of it. So it's like, I feel like maybe the director and writer wanted to make that a theme, but then it was kind of just, it popped up. It was there for like 15, 20 minutes. And then it's like, okay, we're just going to, you know, go back to the action again.
Right.
But it's like they could have made it more like that with some really good writing, really talked about, you know, social issues. But it was just kind of there. And it's like, okay, brought it up, going away.
I do believe, because I'll kind of like interject with that also, is that I believe that a lot of the time, especially with mental illness, because in real life, at least, mental illness it tends to make people with the illness victims more so than the perpetrators. So again, DID is a trauma response. You cannot have DID. I'm not a licensed anything, but from what I've seen from people with DID, from what I've seen from what they've talked about on either their pages, their channels, their anything, is that it is a trauma response, and you can't have DID without some sort of trauma that happened to cause this to happen. And I think something that the reason why probably they didn't go in on that is because you can run into the Shyamalan issue, and I call it the Shyamalan issue, in which you villainize mental illness rather than what causes the mental illness, or rather than like the actual mental illness itself. Because again, in real life, people with mental illnesses are much more likely to be the victim than they are to be the perpetrator. So people with DID typically aren't violent. That's kind of a rumor that some, I'm not saying that none of them are. I'm not saying that like everyone is the same, but the majority of people with schizophrenia, which is not DID, or DID, are not going to be the violent ones. They're going to be the victims of people who are violent. You know what I mean? People who are abusive. So I think the reason probably they didn't go completely into that is because they didn't want to run into the Shyamalan issue, in which the secret ingredient was my multiple personalities are evil. You know what I mean? Because that could run into a lot of issues in itself, in which you demonize mental illness rather than kind of actually having a nuanced approach to it. So that, like, it's one of those things where you have to be very, very, very delicate with how you handle those subject matters, because you can very easily run into offensive territory. If you kind of just go willy-nilly with it was my evil second half all along. Because at the end of the day, the symbiotes, the aliens, they are not a separate personality per se. They are a separate entity forming symbiosis with another separate entity. So it is not like Eddie Brock split into two. It's Eddie Brock and Venom basically sharing the same body. It's them being weird roommates more so than it is a metaphor for mental illness. You know what I mean? Weird roommates with that are very, very messy. I don't know. Very, very messy roommates. And like, that's another thing too. That's with another thing I kind of wanted to talk about was what I did like was kind of the what's it called? Words. It's not a mirror. It's the kind of like the compare and contrast between the relationship between
like
Cassidy and Carnage.
The yin yang,
the parallels. The parallels.
Okay.
The parallels. The relationship between Eddie and Venom, and the relationship between Carnage and Cassidy. Because they even stated themselves where it's just like they're not symbiotic, they're not working together, and that's why like they're losing basically. Because they are not a good pair. And so, and you also see that with when it comes to Shriek and Anne too, and I want to talk more about Shriek too right now. Go ahead. Where it's like Eddie and Venom's love of Anne is also what helps them be a better team, versus Carnage and Cassidy being at odds when it comes to Shriek. You know what I mean? So like how Shriek is like it inhibits Carnage and Cassidy versus Anne, who empowers both Eddie and Venom.
What do you think about Shriek though? Do you think she's alive?
I don't I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, it was.
I think she's dead.
I mean, it was a bell, which means there was it's a hollow space inside of it. They ripped out the thing that rings inside the bell. She could have just been easily tucked away. We never saw a body. You know the movie rules: no body, no death.
Yeah. I don't know, but at the same time, I don't know how they would bring her back. You know what I mean?
I don't think there's a need to. I feel like if the movie does well, I feel like this. If the character is well received overall, and if it makes sense for maybe, I don't know if the third one or somewhere down the line, if it makes sense in the future, she's alive. If it doesn't, she was dead.
That's like there was the teaser of her kind of passing on her powers to, I forgot his name. Damn.
The cop.
What's his name? The cop, yeah.
People are talking about that.
Is that what happened?
No,
she passed on her powers.
No, people are talking about that, but no, that cop, according to now, I never read any Carnage stuff, but in the comic books, that cop was played by a person who becomes another person that takes a symbiote. Like how Carnage is the spawn. Of Venom. Carnage also had his own spawns. In the comic book, like a character called Toxic, and that cop is. You think
that's what happened there?
A symbiote named Toxic is who that cop is. That character is according to people that read more of the comic books than me. So I was watching that a lot on TikTok. People were talking about that cop in the comic book is Toxic. Is that
so they're moving that along pretty fast.
Fast.
Like in the comics, that's
like Spider-Man's gonna have some stuff to deal with.
Yeah. Oh my God, that poor kid.
Toxic joins up with Spider-Man. He's a good guy because he's the cop, and so the cop tries to train his symbiote to not kill and be good, and kind of like how Eddie Brock is trying to do it with Venom, but Venom's more of like a anti-hero sort of thing and fights against Spider-Man. So in the comics, Toxic joins up with Spider-Man to fight against Venom and Carnage.
I didn't know about that. Real quick before, because I don't want to miss any of them. So I'm gonna go to the comment section real quick from JFS the reviewer. He goes, with the way they ended Venom 2, how do you think the sequel will go with Spider-Man? Who wants to take that one?
Well, I was wondering if because one of the trailers they showed was the trailer for the next Spider-Man and how he teams up with oh my goodness, blanking on names now. Help me out. Who's Doctor? Oh my goodness,
Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange. So he teams up with the plot of that movie is he teams up with Doctor Strange because the world has figured out who Spider-Man is,
right?
Because
and so he's not able to be anonymous anymore. People know who he is. They're calling him, a murderer for killing, I think, Mysterio or something.
Yeah, Mysterio.
Yeah, and so he goes to Doctor Strange. He's like, hey, can you just make everybody forget that I'm Spider-Man? Can we go back and just erase that from people's memory? And Doctor Strange's like, yeah, I got a spell. And then the other guy at the temple's like, Doctor Strange, don't do that. You're messing with something dangerous. And Doctor Strange's like, sure, I won't do it. Wink, wink. And so then he ends up doing it with casting that spell for Spider-Man. But then that messes with the space-time continuum, like the fabric of everything. And so it's almost like, looks like Inception, where the world's like, folding in on itself. And so with that, what I was kind of confused about, I'm like, okay, if they're trying to do that, where it's that flash, the whole point of that flash was to make everybody forget who Spider-Man was. But then right after the flash, they see Spider-Man on TV without his mask, so they know who he is.
That's the thing about trailers. So we don't know
when that happens.
We don't know when that happens in the movie. We're taking things from clips that were pieced together in a trailer that might have been out of context. What we saw at the beginning of the trailer might be something that happened at the end of the movie, and what we saw at the end of the trailer might be something that happens at the beginning of the movie.
But what I'm saying, if that flash was that spell that Doctor Strange did, where it's supposed to make everybody forget, because that spell messed with the space-time continuum, and so it's like putting them, it's messing with the fabric of reality, and then it could like have other universes collide and stuff like that. So because the Flash, then all of a sudden it's like it went from nighttime to daytime. They're in somebody else's room. They're like, where the hell are we? You know. So if that was them like going from one universe to the other or having universes merge, then I would be confused why they're showing Spider-Man without his mask right after that.
Have you seen Into the Spider-Verse?
I was just about.
No.
I know where you're going with this.
You haven't seen it? Okay, so we're gonna get into like deep spoilers, obviously, because we're talking about Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man for those of you who don't speak Amanda.
I think Amanda's about to give the answer that I was about to give. Go ahead. Take it away, Miss Marvel.
So basically, what happened? There's a theory also going around TikTok. So I'm gonna go into why Spider-Verse is important first, because if you saw the first movie, right? And you saw the after credit scene was a scene from Spider-Verse in Venom. So the first Venom movie, the after credit scene of that movie is a snippet of Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. So Spider-Verse and Venom do somehow exist, like at least on the same plane of existence. So what happened at the end of Venom 2 in the after credit scene, when they were on the vacation, they were on the bed, they were watching TV, and then all of a sudden everything glitched. That glitch looks exactly like the glitches that happened in Spider-Verse. So every time the multiverse kind of converged and like messed up in Spider-Verse, there was a kind of television glitch, and it looked exactly the same as it did.
So you're okay. So you're in the thinking. Okay, so here's the question. So the thing that brought. Okay, so let's talk. Okay, real quick. So let's talk about
is the Spider-Verse the animated one?
Yeah,
that's bringing all the different
into the Spider-Verse. So okay, so I posted this question on this channel for a polling. I said, what do you think was the thing that that caused that caused Eddie to come into the MCU? Was it what Wanda did, and when it was Wanda became the Scarlet Witch? Was it what happened in Loki? Was it what happened here or there? And people voted on it. I don't have the results up right now, and thank you guys for voting on it. But I never thought, because I didn't see those rumors, I never thought to enter that possibility into the because this is a good topic because it is Sony. And what happened in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse could be the thing that caused the interruption. Maybe simultaneously with the multiverse stuff that's happening in the MCU. That's what I was thinking.
But people thought that, because remember, Loki's technically begins in 2012. Okay. Technically. So, and then as you guys know, if you guys have seen Loki, that everything, like time moves differently in the TVA, so time is not linear. Time is more like branches. So basically what the theory is on TikTok is that WandaVision, Loki, now I guess we have to add Spider-Verse, and Doctor Strange doing the spell all happened simultaneously.
That is okay. Jameson, you saw WandaVision and did you see Loki?
I saw Loki. I haven't seen WandaVision yet.
So okay, so without spoiling too much, there's the thing that happened in. Pay attention to what happened on the last episode of WandaVision whenever you see it, and think about the something that happens in the last episode of Loki. There's a moment on Loki. You said you saw Loki, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a moment on Loki where He Who Remains, when he stops being able to see the future, he said, we've just crossed. Remember that moment where he just paused and he was like, we just crossed the threshold.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the last episode of WandaVision, at the exact same time, now this is too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. Yeah. At the exact same time, that was when you haven't seen WandaVision. I don't know if you care if I spoil it or not, but something happens at the last episode of WandaVision at the exact same time as when that happened at the last episode of Loki. So, and that's what we're talking about. Could it be what happened in WandaVision? Could it be what happened in Into the Spider-Verse? Could it be or could it be Doctor Strange's spell? Or could it be all of it happening at the exact same time? I'm more thinking that it's Doctor Strange's spell, but I'm sorry, what do you think, Amanda?
And then in Loki too, if you look in the background, in the windows where it goes out and you see all like the galaxy looking stuff, it starts turning red at the same timestamp as what happens in WandaVision. So red starts to spread out throughout the timelines as well.
Oh, okay. That indicates WandaVision.
So
to me.
So again, what I think, what you said, what I think what happened specifically with Doctor Strange and Peter, because remember, Peter started talking to, during the spell. He started interfering, and he started to basically like modify how the spell worked. And then like Strange even told him, it's like, you're messing up the spell. You need to stop talking.
Yeah.
So what I think, instead of making the world forget that
Peter
Parker was Spider-Man,
he just messed up the
I
spell
think what it
instead.
did was bring all the Spider-Men because like we see at the end of the trailer too, we see Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus from the Sam Raimi trilogy.
Mhm.
We also hear the Green Goblin laugh and see the pumpkin bomb. We see stuff coming from other universes. Apparently, Jamie Foxx is going to be in as what is it, Elektra? Apparently he's going to come back, which is from the Amazing Spider-Man universe, right?
Yeah.
So what I think happened is that at that moment also, it just kind of brought like all the Spider-Men into one.
Well, they explained that in Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, the reason why all those Spider-Man related, Spider-Man people came from those other universes into that movie is because when Spider-Man tried to stop Kingpin from doing what he was doing, I think like the machine that he was using, I think didn't Spider-Man interfere with it, and it zapped him, and that's why it was able to reach out to all the other Spider-Men in those other universes and pull them all together, because that Spider-Man, that energy was flowing through that Spider-Man, and it reached out to.
I need to rewatch Spider-Verse.
It's been a while since I've seen. I'm trying to remember the.
It's a weird.
Behind it.
I'll buy it only for the fact that MCU and Sony are about to end their deal. And they need to justify the reason why Tom Holland is no longer in the MCU, and he's probably going to go into Venom's universe and pull a whole bunch of Spider-Man related people with him and whatnot. So if the theory is that what happened at the end of WandaVision, what happened at the end of Loki, what happened in the beginning of Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, were all those multiverse kind of things happening simultaneously. My question now becomes, how are they going to explain that real quick in I'm assuming No Way Home? When are they going to throw all that crap in there?
I think No Way Home is kind of going to be because you know how WandaVision was technically still its own contained thing. Right. Loki was still its own contained thing. Even What If, it's still, even though it is dealing with the multiverse, still its own contained series. I feel like Into the Spider-Verse is probably going to be its own contained thing within like the multiverse, and then Multiverse of Madness is when it's all just gonna it's all just gonna like
Doctor Strange 2, you mean?
Go crazy.
Yeah, okay, well, that makes sense. Let me go back to the conversation real quick. So what were your top 5 best and worst moments of Venom 2? That's from JFF's The Reviewer.
Who's that to? Everybody?
I don't have a top 5, but I already mentioned what I didn't like about it in the beginning of the movie. We already kind of I talked about. Okay, so you guys liked it. What didn't you like about Venom 2, Amanda?
What didn't I like?
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have preferred it to be a little bit longer so that they could fit more again of the relationship. Like I would have more so believed Carnage at the end. Well, not Carnage, Cassidy at the end. If he would have actually had like a fond relationship with Eddie, yeah, because they were both just jerks to each other, yeah, and there was no mutual respect or fondness. They were just basically just a reporter and an inmate, and that was it. That was their relationship, and the only reason they really it's not even explained why he wanted Eddie so much. You know what I mean? It's not even explained why he wanted Eddie to be the one to report on him. What was the reason? Why did you want this greasy ass guy to be the one to report?
What did you say, Jameson? The sweaty guy.
What was it?
This greasy man. You didn't know at that point. Cassidy didn't
sweaty
know
and sloppy
that Eddie had Venom or anything. He didn't know that there was a secret or anything. He didn't know anything about Eddie other than the fact that Eddie was a person.
He respected Eddie's journalism style.
But even then, it's what? We didn't even see him reading any articles articles that Eddie made. It would have made more sense if he had like collected his shit or whatever.
Yeah, like if there was pictures all over the walls.
Like he had like
Eddie
it would have made sense if he had like a weird hyper fixation on Eddie, and you just saw him reading through his articles and like for some reason feeling this kinship with this dude.
Yeah,
like it would have made more sense had there been.
That would have been where an extra like 10 or 15 more minutes would have been useful.
Yeah. Like there should have been like, especially like after like the whole like alien like explosion thing, like he should have had like pictures of that in his cell. Like, he should have had like a reason to give a shit about Eddie, basically.
You're
and there was
right.
no reason for him to give a shit about Eddie other than the fact that Eddie, he was gonna bite him and then get the weird Carnage baby.
For all we know, he flipped a coin and just picked the journalist.
Exactly. Like it's like there was a wheel that he spun and it was just like Garbage Goober and Jerry spin again. Like that's what it was. And then it just landed on Eddie. He's like, okay, this
it was either Oprah Winfrey or Eddie Brock. It just
exactly.
landed on Eddie. Real quick.
Jason
Jason Bell says, did y'all like or dislike that Carnage was killed off?
I feel that's another thing too, where it's like I feel like there should have been like a more explanation of Carnage, especially if like you're not a comic reader. Because like I know of the comics, I do not actively read comics. You know what I mean? I know of them. I know storylines that happen in them, but I am a movie watcher. I like to watch the movies. I like to watch the series.
Right.
So I think if somebody's going in blind and they're just kind of like, okay, well, what was the what? Like, it just kind of seems like he came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So I feel, especially since like he calls Venom father. So obviously like that's his dad, and Venom doesn't really seem to give a shit that like he had a baby.
That is a red one.
Like he doesn't, he just kind of like, he's like, oh shit, that's a red one. And that's all he does. That's the only thing he acknowledges. He doesn't acknowledge the fact that like that's his son. You know what I mean?
Venom was like a deadbeat dad. He's like, holy shit, that's a red one. I'm gonna go to the store and I'm gonna go buy some milk. And he never comes back.
And he never returns.
He never returns.
Eats his son like the guy that, you know, that painting of the god eating his like children.
Yeah.
That was Venom in this movie. Cause like at the end of the day, like I saw that, I'm like, okay, so obviously Carnage is kind of salty about Venom being his dad, and Venom does not really care.
Yeah.
Like Venom is just kind of like, oh, it's a red one, I don't really want to fight it. Like it's kind of scary.
Venom's got more things to worry about with trying to get Eddie and Ann back together. Why do I got to deal with this red dude right now? What the
this
fuck?
red dude. Like, he made the red dude though. That's it.
Well, so here's the question. Do you think? What do you think, Jameson? Amanda, what do you think? Now, okay, he kills Cassidy. Okay,
yeah,
but he kills him by doing what? He ate his brain. He ate his Carnage came from Venom. So, and then he reabsorbed Carnage. So somewhere deep inside of Venom's DNA is the brain, or a lot of the DNA of Cassidy and Carnage. Can Carnage come back? Can Cassidy and Carnage come back?
Well, I know in like the comics, like I know that like Venom has other kids that are not just Carnage. So I don't think, I don't know how they're gonna play it in the movies though.
I mean, I kind of laid out the blueprint. I mean, he's got with the whole. That's why I was purposely talking about the DNA stuff. I feel like Woody Harrelson. If like, I'll put it like I said about Shriek. If the fans receive it well enough, if it keeps crushing
Woody
it in the box.
Harrelson lost his head though. I feel like that's kind of hard to come back.
And lost his head to Venom, absorbed by Venom, and digested. So the DNA is still there technically. I know, right?
They don't really show that with anybody else he eats, though.
But nobody else that he ate got a symbiote.
Yeah.
But the symbiote also came from him, so wouldn't that just be re-eating a part of himself?
Well, that's the other question: is can he reabsorb another symbiote? When he did that, I was like, is that even possible? Because like in
let us know. Let us know in the comment section. Is that a thing that happens?
He really said, "I brought you into this world, and I will take you out."
Yeah,
pretty much.
I will take you out. Yeah, exactly. I love that about it.
I wish like going back to how short it was and everything, and so we already kind of complained about this if you want to go to like the 5 complaints, but yeah, like I wish that this was more of a series, like a TV show, like an R-rated TV show, where they could have gone deeper into it, because they could have had a bigger relationship between, you know, Eddie and Cassidy, and then Carnage and Venom, and I don't think they're going to bring Carnage back, but I mean, in the comics, like Carnage is around for a while. In fact, Toxin is, I think, Carnage's kid, not Venom's, right? And so it's and then they, like I said, Venom and Carnage end up teaming up for a bit to fight against Toxin because Toxin's even more powerful. So the way it works, I guess, in the symbiote world is each child is more powerful than the father.
You evolve and become the next generation is usually stronger.
Yeah, and so like in the comics, so I think they said like I mean, my numbers are probably going to be off here, but Venom can lift like 20 tons, and then Carnage can lift like 100 tons. Like he's that much stronger, and then Toxin's even stronger than that. And so it would have been interesting to see like the development between all the different symbiotes and.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, which is probably why it would
biting his head off.
Yeah, which is probably why it would make sense that he would want to get with get on to Spider-Man's body, because Spider-Man's human body is already strong. So that's maybe that they're doing that whole Spider-Man Eddie story in reverse, though, if you think about it.
That's another thing too, where it's like we see that at the end of the movie, it's kind of clear that Venom recognized that Peter. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
You don't think he did?
A lot of people are saying that. I just think that okay, so when I first saw the movie, I didn't think of is maybe what happened in the end of the Spider-Verse is the reason why Eddie was pulled into the MCU, or Doctor Strange pulled him into the MCU. One of the things that I thought maybe it was a combination of all those things, maybe. And one of the things that I think made it more possible was when Venom, because remember what Venom and Eddie were talking about. I can show you a bunch of other things in this universe that I've seen that would fry your brain, but let me give you a little piece of it so you can see what I'm talking about. And the second he did that, I think that kind of started to tap into what maybe Doctor Strange was doing, or Wanda, or whatever, or the Spider that started to interfere and tap into it. Maybe like now I'm thinking more into the Spider-Verse stuff. Maybe that's what it was.
Would that also imply that Venom is like interdimensional as well as like able to go to multiple worlds?
Exact. For all we know, maybe this is an alien entity that.
True.
Okay. In the comic book, he's just a big slime ball but scientists all agree that if we ever meet aliens, if aliens ever come to our world, they are we know for a fact that they are going to be more advanced than us, because they were right there off the bat. They have ability to go from one planet to another, and we don't have that. We haven't. Our science isn't that strong yet. Let's not underestimate Venom and his people, because they're slime balls. They are probably way more advanced than humans ever will be. They need to be attached to other entities to survive. But that conversation, I feel like that brief little 1 minute conversation with Venom and Eddie about like what he's seen in this universe and stuff like that. It'll fry your brain if I showed it all to you, but let me give you a little taste of it. It made me think Venom is way more advanced than we realize. He's not just some entity that can just take over a body and make it stronger. He's an advanced life form, way above our humans. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, yeah, and that was something I thought was interesting. It's like they brought that up at the end, right? And it's like I didn't know that symbiotes had a hive mind, right? So that's almost like saying like you can tap into the internet, right? You have all this knowledge, and so it's like if he is that advanced and smart, why does he act so dumb all the time?
I mean, it's kind of like I think the reason why it's because I think it's kind of like Elon Musk.
Comedic relief, but
where it's like you can be a genius and you can be really smart.
Venom is socially awkward on his planet.
Yeah, like Venom. We have to remember that Venom is a loser where he came from.
Exactly.
Like Venom is like
he's the Windows 95 of the Sims.
Yeah, he's the Mike. What was it? The really bad he was Windows Vista.
Yeah.
Windows
Vista. That's what.
If the symbiote
was not the most advanced where he came from.
If symbiotes were social media, he's MySpace.
Not even MySpace. He's probably like I don't
AOL or something like
he's
that.
like AOL like messenger chat. Like
Yeah.
but like so that's like where he comes from. He's the loser. He's the Eddie, basically.
Yeah.
He's like the trying to be like cool, but like definitely not gonna be cool.
Yeah.
And so I don't think intelligence, like I do think intelligence and personality does go hand in hand. However, I don't think that being smart and being like a silly, goofy person or symbiote in this case, and being kind of a mess of a human or symbiote in this case, is like, I don't think it's just mutually exclusive. I think you can be both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think you can be both like a full-on mess of like a being as well as a highly advanced being, if that makes any sense.
Sinister, real quick, Sinister Six. That's another topic that's coming up. Everybody thinks that Venom is the sixth person. That's going to be in No Way Home.
The sixth what?
The sixth villain for so in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Okay, we have Doc Ock, we have like all these other, we have Electro, we have all these other villains that they think that this is a setup for the Sinister Six, and people believe that Venom is the sixth person. We have Sandman, Electro, we have all these Vulture, all these other guys. I don't think so either. I don't think he is. I don't think Venom is the sixth member. Did you know? What about you, Jameson? Do you think? Did you know anything about that, or did you? You're not.
I have no idea what the Sinister Six is.
Yeah, Spider-Man's main villains, they usually come together.
Basically, just like
Sinister Six. There's a Sinister 60. There's a Sinister 7. But it's usually just mostly a team up of Spider-Man villains. They think that that's what we're about to see in No Way Home. The team up of all these villains.
I think he's more so going to take up the lethal protector role than he is going to be like in the Sinister Six. I think him and Eddie are kind of just like the package deal that go off together, and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't think they're adding anybody else to their vigilantism, I guess.
I agree. I mean, he's trying to be a protector. He would have no reason to join the Sinister Six. He doesn't know those guys.
Well, I mean, they've made him they made him a good guy in the movie so far.
Exactly.
You know, so that would be kind of a flip for him to. I mean, I know that's his role in the comics, but like
if they did the story the traditional way where Eddie Brock hates Peter Parker and all that stuff, and they did it that way, then it would make more sense. But in the movie version, we're getting the relationship between Eddie Brock and Peter Parker in reverse. He's already Venom, and Venom meets Eddie first, and then now he's going to be by Spider. So it doesn't it doesn't make sense for the Sinister.
Well, and in the Spider-Man movies, they already had one with Venom where he fought Venom too.
Well, I mean that's some. What is it? Here's the question: is it possible?
Is it the same Venom?
No, but that was my question. Since if it's possible that we're gonna get Tom Holland to meet the other versions of Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield,
you can get the different versions of Venom.
Do you think there's gonna be a slight? What is the chances that Tom Hardy meets the Sam Raimi Venom? What do you think the chances are of that? They bring was that actor's name?
Eddie. Oh, what's his name? Oh, Topher Grace.
What are the chances that Tom Hardy meets Topher Grace?
Topher Grace.
That Venom.
I don't know because we did get the because I almost called him Green Lantern. Holy shit, Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Is technically dead. In the Sam Raimi trilogy, but he still is going to pop up.
They explained that like the explanation of that online is that when the multiverse opens up, they pull all of those Spider-Man villains from the
point in time when they were
about to die and pull them all. So the same thing was to happen to Venom.
Because remember the little the what are they called, the metal poles, and then they made all that noise, and then they went and then and then like Topher Grace's Venom.
If Topher Grace's Venom, nobo's talking about that. I believe we are the first people online.
T3 Media is exclusive.
We did.
Topher Grace's Eddie Brock
will be
also
the sixth.
Die.
That would be.
will be the sixth member of the Sinister Six, and that's when Eddie Brock goes, no, fuck, like just like you said in Venom 2, fuck this guy. It's gonna be Tom Hardy versus Topher Grace's Venom.
But that also implies like, but here's the thing: if Venom technically, and then I'm just assuming here, I'm not like being like this is the facts. Like I don't know. If it is to imply that Venom is multidimensional, like would there be another variation of Venom? Like
Topher Grace?
Like, but not like the symbiote Venom. Like, not because Venom is still a separate entity from Eddie. He's still they're just they're just weird roommates.
that makes sense because if there are multiple Spider-Man, if there are multiple Electros, or there are multiple Iron Man, yeah, there should be multiple Venoms. Multiple
I'm still
symbiotes.
kind of like, but there was kind of a familiarity. I feel like he was familiar with like Spider-Man though. At least Spider-Man, maybe not Tom Holland Spider-Man, but a Spider-Man.
So I'm trying to understand your question. Is your question? Do you think that every symbiote, every version of Venom in every universe is still the same? Is still the same Venom? Not there is no variant of these symbiotes. Is that your question?
I guess so. Are there variants of symbiotes?
That would be. I know what you're getting at, but that would be very sci-fi and hard to explain in a movie. Like they would
because
really.
What I'm not understanding is why he was so fixated on Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because why
question.
would he be
If he's
fixated on
never met
that?
him.
Would just be a random ass kid on the screen.
I'm gonna say no because then at in that end credit scene when Eddie looked at the image of Spider-Man on TV. He would have because what Venom now knows, Eddie knows, and he would have recognized him. I don't think he recognized Spider-Man. So even if
is there a Peter Parker in Eddie's universe? Is there a Spider-Man at all?
No. Okay. So because that's what I thought your question was. I thought you were saying that is it possible that Tom Hardy's Venom could be connected cosmically to the Spider-Man 3 Venom, like all the Venoms in every universe are mentally connected. I thought that's what you were saying, but
that could also be a possibility.
I don't think that's going to be because
I don't know.
I don't think Venom recognized Spider. I think he was fascinated about what he was seeing. And since they want to be the lethal protectors, the TV was saying Spider-Man is a murderer. He's a this and that. So okay, we're stuck. We've been pulled into this universe for some weird reason, and the TV is telling me that this guy that calls himself Spider-Man is a murderer. Let's go get him. I think that's what's gonna happen.
That could be possible.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the part where I screamed was when J. Jonah Jameson popped up on this TV. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, ah!
What do you got? Okay, real quick, let me go back to the comment section real quick. Let's see. Jason Bell, did you okay, we already read that. Dyer, he's in the chats. He's saying that was me with Shang. He says that was me with Shang-Chi. I saw it 2 weeks early and wanted to talk about it so bad with people. Back when Amanda was talking about how you couldn't talk about the embargo. Yeah, the embargo lifted on Venom the same week that it was released. That's usually to most people who go to pre-screenings, that's usually a sign that a movie might be bad. But what I heard later was that Sony because of the way it was received by critics on the first one, but it was loved by the audience on the first one. The reason why they didn't allow critics to talk about it on the right before the movie was released was because they wanted to cater to the audience more than the critics. But I thought, me personally, I thought that was a mistake. But Jason Bell also says, I hate that Carnage was made from a bite. He hated that. I thought that made sense. I
thought it made sense.
I thought it made sense. I liked it.
Given how little time they spent on their interaction before, it made sense. But like I said, going back to the whole, they should have interacted more, throughout the movie. Yeah, I agree. I agree with
that
him,
always happen?
It was just kind of rushed.
That is a good question. Like,
that always happen?
All you have to do is bite Eddie.
If Eddie gets bitten again with Venom still like in him, would that make another weird Venom baby? Would that always happen?
So Venom is now a sexually transmitted disease. That's all I'm saying.
Venom's an STD.
Yeah, Venom is Venom 3 STD. You already hear. There's a clip. there's a clip that's gonna probably be on Amanda's TikTok.
I'm gonna ask my friends, be like, "Yo, if Venom, if anybody else bites Eddie, will they get a mini Venom?"
Yeah.
Well, here's a question I had too. Going back to the hive mind thing. If they're all a hive mind, wouldn't Venom and Carnage be able to read each other's minds? and see
From-
where they're at?
No, well, from what I think from whenever they separate, they eventually become two. I don't think there's a mental connection like that, because like from the cartoon on Spider-Man the animated series from the 90s, when Peter Parker rejected Venom and then that the symbiote found Eddie was instantly blessed with the knowledge of everything that he was able to read from Peter Parker's brain when he was absorbed with Peter. So Eddie instantly knew who Peter Parker was because Venom told him. So I think there's only a connection when you're physically, connected. But like across bodies, I don't think there's a connection. I don't think they can.
Well, but I mean, like a hive mind. If you think of like Ender's Game, right? Like all the bugs are connected by a hive mind.
Yeah, like
right?
like the way like bees and ants. And
Yeah,
stuff. I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but I don't think so.
So when he brought that up, he's like, it's like he could see into all the different minds of all the different symbiotes across the universe, and he's like, your puny mind wouldn't be able to handle all this, and so I'm like, if there really is a hive mind,
I think what he was talking about was
his own experience.
Was his what Venom was able to has experienced throughout his travels through space. He wasn't talking about like if I connect you to the hive mind. I think he was like, if I show you what is stored in my memories, your puny human brain couldn't handle it. My symbiote brain can absorb a lot more. But if I so I'll give you a taste of what I've experienced for what we know is thousands of years of space travel or millions of years of existence. Like Venom could be millions of years old or billions of years old for all we know. We don't know. I felt like that's what he was talking about. But real quick, this is funny. Jameson, you might know this commenter. 26 Constance is, I think, talking to bringing up what I brought up earlier. I like your eyebrows, Chris. Tell Constance to stop trolling.
How nice.
Like whatever. You're like Constance. Constance.
You were complaining about not getting compliments now. Now you get a compliment, and
I don't trust it.
You're gonna say something like, maybe that's why you don't get compliments.
What is a black man without his paranoia? But anyway, so let me. Real quick, dire situation cosplay adventures says, or going back to our old conversation, Cletus Cassidy, who was trying to tell us remind us who Cletus is. Mulligan becomes toxic. Yeah, we talked about that. Y'all need me on here. I'm sorry, Dyer, you didn't make it in time, man. I was like, you didn't let me know what time you were going to be available. I couldn't just bring. Actually, I could have. I could have sent him a link, but we're already over time already on this episode. This, believe it or not, Amanda, I try to make this a 30-minute show.
Oh, really?
We've already gone over an hour, and I know I don't know whenever you need to chime off. I know that we've already gone over. That's why I'm trying to quickly go through the comment section real quick and see if there's anything that we might have missed. Riot absorbs Venom. We've already talked about that. His name is Toxin, not Toxic. Is we were being corrected by Dyer. Jason Bell says very, very high. I'm sorry, Jason. I don't know. I didn't know what you're talking about when. Oh, Jason Bell says Rhino will be the 6th member. Rhino from Amazing Spider-Man 2. I hope not. I hated that version of Rhino. I hated it. I am a killer. No. That's all I got to say about that. But any last things that we want to talk about? I know we kept you longer than I normally do, man. I know you got a lot. I know you have to get to your homies real quick. Guys, if you are not following Amanda on TikTok, what the hell are you waiting for? Follow her. If you have TikTok, I said that I was going to tease her about this. Amanda recently was being shadow banned on TikTok, and then the very next day went ultra viral. So my theory is that all you have to do on TikTok to go viral is tell TikTok that you feel like you're being shadow banned, or be a person like Amanda on TikTok, which is awesome and entertaining, and then good things come to you. Because I've been on TikTok myself, and I'm boring as hell, and nobody likes me, and that's why I only have like 2,000 followers. But Amanda is creative, funny, smart. Oh. She knows her shit. She's funnier than a little bit, and she has good vibes and good energy. But when she said that she was being shadow banned, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It triggered me and all of her other supporters. We instantly were like, TikTok, no. And then the gods came together, the universe and the stars aligned, and then now Amanda, I feel like I feel like your channel is your page on TikTok is growing and going in the direction where it should have been going all along. I feel like there's nothing but good things coming your way. I'm glad that you were able to join us here today to talk a little bit about Venom.
Thank you.
We're gonna go into the next topic later on, and I know you don't want to get spoiled on that, but if you don't mind, if there's any last thing about Venom that you want to talk about real quick, anything you want to bring up, or if not, if you want to let everybody know where they can find you online, let us know.
So yeah, overall enjoyed the movie. Probably gonna watch it again. Definitely also before No Way Home. Mm-hmm. And if you guys want to find me, follow my content. I'm on TikTok. I'm on TikTok most of the time. And it's at Amanda Just Vibin. So Amanda, my name, Just, and then Vibin with no G. And I'm also the same name on Instagram. And mostly my story, I don't really post pictures unless something cool is happening or unless I do a cosplay. But I also just post random shit on my stories. So if you just want to see me rant about things or just like see me exist, then you can also follow me on Instagram. But yeah. And I also have a Twitter. I don't really post on Twitter, but like it's there. And it's the same name, Amanda Just Vibin.
Exactly. Awesome. And so guys, once again, I'll thank Amanda for joining us. I'm sorry I kept you over time, but it was a great talk. We're gonna get into our Venom talk. So go follow Amanda on TikTok. And thank you guys for joining us on our Venom discussion. Thank you for complimenting my eyebrows, Constance. I know I can't take a compliment. I apologize. But I'm not going to pretend like my eyebrows are going to compete with Amanda's over there. She's, awesome. she can't take a compliment either. Look at, she always cheeses when you compliment her. She's like, come on, stop it. But I appreciate you, Amanda. And look, right. I hope if you don't, I talked about this before you got on. We are doing a movie trivia on this channel. If you ever want to compete, I'm gonna invite you. I'll reach out to you and see if you ever want to compete on that. So maybe about Marvel stuff. What do you think? What do you think you would want to compete in if you want to go one-on-one with somebody? What's your game?
Probably like now that I've just been like really like into Marvel like movies and TV lately. Probably Marvel stuff.
Marvel, okay, all right. So maybe let's see who wants to go to one-on-one with Amanda. So maybe if I'll give her advance notice if Amanda wants to compete in the T3 Media's movie trivia game. Who wants to go one-on-one with the queen of TikTok herself, Amanda, out there? We'll find out. Maybe it'll be me. Who knows? I don't think she's ready, but we'll see. But Amanda, thank you again for joining us. I appreciate you.
Thank
and
you.
I'll let you go. I know we went over time, and I appreciate you for joining us. So
Alrighty, see you guys later. Nice to meet you, Jameson.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah. Right. Peace.
Peace out.
And I'm gonna go leave. Bam.
All right, guys. That was Amanda. We did our Venom talk. And well, James, real quick, do you have anything else you mention about Venom before we move on to the next topic?
No, I mean, like I was saying, it was a good slapstick action movie. I just wish it was a deeper show like the one we're about to talk about.
All right.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah, I wasn't gonna watch. So let's move on to the next topic, which is Squid Game. So you know what? I wasn't gonna watch Squid Game. Let's see. I'm trying to pull up a picture.
See the new background here.
I was trying to pull up a picture. I didn't have time to set up the graphics and stuff like that. Oh yeah, you switched your background. Oh okay, I see what you're saying. I was trying to set up mine so we could talk about it. I saw Squid Game. I just finished it a couple of days ago, and I was fixated on the fact that I wasn't gonna watch it. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not. People were recommending it to me, and I was thinking, okay, is this just because what's that pop group that's popular now from Korea, BTS? Is this just more BTS fans trying to get me into what's going on? But I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the trailer and I saw what it was about, I was like, holy this. Now, usually back in the day, like movies like this or TV shows like this, that we get an American version of it. This does not need that. I have a theory on if they're gonna do a season 2. I already know they are.
Well, yeah. Did you see the article I sent you?
No, I did not. I don't read I don't
Okay.
read your mail. What did you say?
Oh, cold, man. No I'm not going to compliment your eyebrows now. We're done.
What happened? Was that they already greenlit a season 2?
Well, yeah. I mean, they. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Well, I sent it to you. If you want to throw it in the little box and put it on the screen, it's on the Facebook chat. But basically, it's the one from Forbes, where it says Squid Game 2 season 2 story news straight from the director. So it's just saying because it's viral, there's most definitely going to be a season 2,
right?
But the director doesn't have any solid plans for it yet. He's like, I don't know what direction I want to take it. I mean, I felt like that's kind of odd given the way it ended. The way it ended, it's like there's definitely got to be a sequel.
Yeah, I mean, the way it ended, and for those of you who don't know, we'll talk spoilers about this too. So if you haven't seen Squid Game, we're gonna spoil some stuff. The way it ended, to me, I didn't think it made any sense. Like
I didn't like a lot of it, but I get like it's a good what's the word? It leaves it open for a really cool type of sequel with a completely different direction.
Yeah, I mean, the fact when I was in the middle of watching it, when I was seeing that it was a bunch of people that were trapped in a space, and they were fighting for money and things like that, and they were going to play these weird games. I instantly I was telling my wife when we were watching, I was like, I'm telling you, this is not a movie about some millionaire or one billionaire who's hired a whole bunch of people and brought these poor people on these islands to fight or whatever. I said, no, to do something at this level, you have a team of billionaires to helping you with something like this.
Especially if they actually give out the money at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. So it's like, no, this is not one billionaire or one millionaire masterminding this thing. This is a team of sickies that of billionaire sickies. You got Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and them. They're all in on it. So
it's the Illuminati,
which is technically the Illuminati. And I was like, that's why at the end of the season, when they showed those other billionaires who were there at the end of the watch the game end and stuff like that, I wasn't surprised that most of them were like rich white Americans and things like that. Some from the South and stuff like that. They didn't speak Korean, so they weren't really subtitling it. They were speaking English I said that made perfect sense, because if it leads off into a season 2, now our quote unquote hero who's trying to expose the Squid Game people is going to try to go off into maybe he's going to go to other countries where the Squid Game is probably being is happening in other places. But we would immediately talk about the end. That's where everything to me fell apart. You're a brand new millionaire, a hero of our series. What the hell do you think you're gonna do with your new, $20 million after he gave half to the other people?
Yeah.
What do you think you're gonna do against these billionaires who gave you this money?
Yeah,
you're not gonna do a damn thing.
I agree. That's where it all falls apart. It's like, if these guys control the world, they control global markets, they control everything. Your arms are too short to box God, is what I'm thinking. You're going to be the next Epstein,
Yeah, exactly.
like
that whole thing at the end about I'm going to expose you. It's like, you're not. No, you're not. They're gonna watch as you try.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so what I'm predicting, or at least what would make it interesting, if I was writing it, I would have because you never actually saw the cop die. Right, he was trying to send off the cell phone thing. I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, maybe
not assuming, but that would be interesting to have him live, and then have him have been kind of watching from the shadows, and then team up with them.
Yeah,
with him, and
with all that evidence that he collected.
Supposedly, if it got sent off, I mean, otherwise he phones don't really do well in water.
Right.
You know,
I mean, it depends. I mean, the whole time he was running away, the phone was uploading the data. So
hopefully, hopefully.
So it's only hopefully if the signal was
so yeah. So
out.
maybe I mean the only way it would be feasible is, let's say the signal sent off, all the videos sent off to his chief of police, and assuming that the police can't be bought off, but let's say that so let's say somebody. I mean, what I was saying, I'm like, why is he sending it to the dude? Like, put it on Facebook Live or something.
Exact. A place where they really can't.
A place where it can't, like, it doesn't just go to one person and
unless
dead,
Mark Zuckerberg was one of those people behind the mask. And based on what we've been seeing on the news, he probably could have been.
Yeah, he should have uploaded it to Facebook Live and YouTube
and all that stuff.
And I mean, given he's running, trying to run up a mountain and do this stuff, so it's like, okay, would he have even been able to do that? He was just trying to send it off to the first person, So hopefully the police, his chief or whatever, got the information, and then maybe they're running a case with Interpol or something.
You feel like that could open up
that would be the only way you'd be able to fight against these guys is
if you had the evidence.
If you had the evidence and you had the governments involved, otherwise just, even a cop and a millionaire versus these guys, like, you're both dead in 20 seconds,
Yeah.
A couple snipers will take care of that.
It will be tough because, like, so if you don't know, so a bunch of people who were they had a lot of financial ruin, a lot of debt in Korea. They were collected and they were brought into this what's that movie where crime is legal for 24 hours?
The Purge.
The Purge. They were brought into this Purge scenario where they have to they kill each other, and then the last person who lives gets the money at the end of it.
Well, now, have you seen the movie Battle Royale?
I know that. I heard it is based on that. I heard about it, but no, I've never seen it.
I thought one of the reasons I wasn't gonna watch it is I thought it was just gonna be a ripoff of Battle Royale.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It's more similar premise where it's like they're all taken to this place, they're all controlled, and they have to. In Battle Royale, the game is just they're all given different weapons and they have to kill everybody until one person's standing.
Right.
Which is kind of how this one ended, although they weren't told that from the beginning. They're just told
there was a moment where that was one of the games. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Survive the night kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about Squid Game is that they went through a lot of the different games that they went through, and the fact that it was with the way it was controlled, the way it was masterminded by the these billionaires. The one thing I thought was mostly interesting was from episode 1 when they voted to end the game and everybody left, and the number of them that came back. I would not have been one of the people who came back at all, but it did not surprise me about all the ones who did come back.
Mm-hmm.
But that to me was the most fascinating thing about that series was the number of people who volunteered. Like, I know you're killing people, I know this is life or death, but it's the same. If I just come back out here, I could probably die tomorrow. But at least in this game, I have a chance to leave with this money. I thought that was fascinating.
I was torn because I'm like, in that situation, would I have gone back? Like,
I know I would.
If I had known that it was going to be
life or death.
Well, here's the thing that I was kind of debating about. I'm like, the one thing that I might have got hung up on and not have gone back for would have been because there's no guarantee that anybody's going to survive the games. In fact, it could be rigged.
Exactly.
The only rule is, if you survive all 6 games, you get the money and you split it with whoever's left, right?
Right.
But like we saw at the end, it was kind of rigged so that there was only one winner out of it, but they could have rigged it in such a way that the last game was unsurvivable.
Right.
Unsurvivable. Like the one where they're jumping on the glass, that was pretty damn near close.
They made it. You're right. They made it seem like there could be multiple winners at the end that could split the money. But what it really was, it was always going to come down to one.
Yeah, which I mean, it could have been because the Squid Game in the beginning was 3 versus 3, and so there could have been a winning team, a losing team, but they killed off so many people in the last, in game 4 and 5 that it came down to that. But I mean, either if you look at it from a financial perspective, either way, if they are giving away that money, it doesn't matter how many people it's going to. They're giving away the same amount of money.
Yeah.
To see people die in this spectacle, right? So to me, it's like either I would feel like, okay, there's gonna be winners and they're gonna give away the money, or if they're really smart investors, they're going to make the game unwinnable and just be like, well, the money was there as an incentive to get people to fight to the end, but in the end we knew nobody was going to get, or they could have just like been, I mean, because if they're the type of person to get off on that and to set this thing up, why wouldn't they be the type of person to just be like, okay, well, congratulations, you won the game, but we're still going to kill you.
Exactly. And,
so that's
right.
what I would have got.
I assume, and I had the same thought in the middle of it when I was watching it. But when the lead guy who was in the gray mask and whatnot, who was above all the people with the squares, when he killed one of his own workers because of the fact that when he said that speech about, I don't care that you were making little money on the side, harvesting organs and doing what you were doing, but the thing that pissed me off is that you messed with the integrity. That was the moment when I was like, because I had the same assumptions that you. I thought it was rigged, where they're just going to dangle the carrot, but they were never really going to give the carrot to anybody in the end. But the second that moment happened, I thought, they're serious. They will give the money to the winner. And then when the cop who infiltrated it and found that there were files, not only files of all the people who've played, but there were files of actual winners. I thought, oh wow, okay, they are really gonna honor their what they said in the beginning, and that to me made the story more interesting, because I had the same feeling. How do we know that this isn't just some sick game, that's the same money that y'all dangle every time, like every time y'all do this, and nobody ever really gets it? But when I realized, holy shit, somebody really is gonna get that money and they're gonna honor it, then my whole attitude about the series changed. But that's why at the end of it, I was so against our hero for wanting to expose these these guys can afford to just make a millionaire out of somebody after they did what they did to them and murdered a whole bunch of people from doing it. You're not, I mean, dude, you have a daughter to think about. You're now financially in a situation where your ex-wife and trust me, I guarantee you, his ex-wife that didn't think he was shit through the whole series is now thinking about getting back with him now that he's a millionaire. I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
If she even knows. I mean, she may not even know now because she's been living.
She knows. There's no way in the world, because I couldn't wait to throw it in her face that I'm a millionaire. You took my daughter. You're living in the States now. I think season 2 is going to happen in America. You're living because I think that's the setup. You're living in America now with my daughter and stuff like that. I couldn't wait to throw it in her fucking face. I would fight for custody and everything.
Wasn't he? I assumed they didn't tell you where he's going, but I was assuming he was getting on the plane to go visit his daughter.
Yeah, he's going to visit his daughter.
Because it never. Well, because I mean,
then he turned around to try to fight.
Yeah, so he's not going to America yet.
That's the major flaw of that character.
To me, that's where I was like, this ending's stupid, because he goes there. Well, so he goes there. His motivation is his family. Yeah. His motivation is his mom's not cancer, his diabetes.
Yeah. He lost his mom at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then he goes back and fight. Dude, these people, they put you through hell, but now you're a millionaire. Just shut the fuck up. You're not going to take these people down. Focus on your daughter and move on. I completely agree.
Well, because they didn't force anybody. Everybody
Exactly.
volunteered to be there, and so if anything, you should be mad at the people.
In the beginning, they did trick them. They
Yeah,
suckered them in.
But
the
after that, they came back.
After all the people that died and exactly. When they saw it 100% what this really was, that
They
was
still
it.
came back.
If you came
Yeah.
back,
It's on you.
I have no sympathy for it. Exactly.
Yeah.
This series changed my perspective and my assumptions and my feelings towards the victims and all that within the first like 3 episodes. It was brilliant. It was brilliant the way they did it. Because at first I was like, these are all victims. They were all lured and suckered in with money, knowing that their living situations.
The people who died in the first game were victims.
They were 100%
because they said vague, you'll be eliminated from the game. They didn't tell you elimination meant death. You know, so those people were victims, and all that blood is on the organization's hands. But once they came back, they knew that they were playing a life and death game. Now, they didn't know how unfair the games were going to be necessarily, but they knew. And so one of the problems I had, or one of the things that kind of left me scratching my head, is the game where they played marbles and they were tricked, into competing against who they thought was going to be their best partner. You got the husband and wife pair, you got the 2 friends. Why didn't they use their voting power on that game to skip that game? Like nobody.
From what I remember, the voting power. If the majority votes, just like in that first episode, when the majority votes, nobody
even called a vote.
If the majority votes to end the game, didn't they say that you can end the game, you leave, we won't mess with you, but that money goes to the dead, and therefore it doesn't go to any of you guys who quit. It goes to the dead, which is why a lot of them came back. It was like, to them that felt like the money was being wasted, because it was they said in the beginning, because I remember catching that on that first or second episode when they said that you guys can vote to leave. But and they said that, and they said if the game ends like that way, like if there's a winner, then this money goes to these winners at the end of it. But if you guys vote to quit, then this money goes to the families of the dead. And that's what pissed them off, and why a lot of them came back, because that, to them, in their minds, that money was being quote unquote wasted.
I don't remember them saying the money went to the families.
It went to it was divided.
When did they say that?
It was that same episode when they voted to end it. They said that.
Well, I thought he was saying that if we leave, because you're talking about how the guy was like, I'm gonna kill myself, and then he comes up to him and he's like, listen to what you're saying. Your wife is already dead. Leaving's not going to bring her back. But hey, I don't think
that was towards the end. But no, when they were voting whether or not they were going to leave and stuff, the people who were voting to stay.
Oh, okay, so that was a previous episode.
They were on that episode when they all voted whether or not after everybody was killed with red light, green light. It was I'm gonna have to watch it again, but I'm pretty sure.
I think that was episode 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in episode 2. That was one of the stipulations. The rule number 3 says, if the majority of you decide to leave, we will let you leave. We will not harm you. You get to go home. It ends. But the money gets divided amongst the families of the dead, which would be a very small amount, because a lot of people died, and we're talking about going to like the next of kin. That's it would have got diluted so much where it would have been like a good couple of months for a family member for no reason. But I'll
have to look that up, because I thought the money I just thought nobody got the money.
No, I might be wrong, but I think if I remember correctly, they said
subtitles.
They said, I used to hate subtitles too, but then I got up. But if I remember correctly, they said that it was gonna, if you quit the game, then that's money. Like, because I thought, okay, well, what if we just quit the game? Maybe the whatever's left in that pot would get divided amongst the survivors who voted to quit. But
Well,
that,
no, yeah,
th-
yeah,
that-
for sure. Nobody
nobody would get
was
money,
getting the
and
money.
that
Yeah.
that was another, to me, that felt like another tool to frustrate them to come back, because
Well, yeah, the
they-
money was always an incentive for
Yeah.
the winners.
So-
It's like you're only getting this money if you win the game.
if you win the game.
But regardless of that, the whole marble situation, I'm surprised that nobody asked for a vote, because they were all traumatized after that, because they knew half the people were going to die. They knew that they were competing against their friends, so their friends not going to have a chance to win. I feel like especially the husband and wife pair.
Keep talking. I'm gonna put you on full screen. You might not see me, but I can hear you. But
Okay.
keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the husband and wife pair, you're not even listening right now. So the husband and wife pair, for those of you who've seen the show, for me, if I was there and I was there with my wife and I knew that one of us, because of the game rules, one of us was going to die, I would have asked for a vote, but nobody asked to end the game, because they could have ended it and then gone home and then tried to come back later. The ones who wanted to participate, and maybe would have had a different game. So yeah, I was surprised that nobody used their voting power during that instance. And then he brought it up, the main character brought it up again later, in another episode, or at the very end, he wanted to use his voting power to end the game. But I'm like, man, if you're going to use your voting power at all, no.
The husband.
You didn't hear any of that, did you?
No, I heard you talking about, because the husband and wife.
Well, so I was saying, like, if it was me and I was there with my wife or whatever, and I knew that because of the game rules, one of us was going to end up dying, I would have been like, this is where I tap out, like
exactly. And that's what I was thinking. I was like,
nobody.
That means when they voted to get out, that means that husband and wife both voted to come back. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
But they both came back. But I mean, think of the games that they had played up till then. They played a game where
the wife, didn't the wife die from after the marble game?
That's the one I'm talking about. That's the one where I'm saying I'm surprised nobody on the marble game. I'm surprised they didn't take a vote on the marble game. Because that's the one where I'm like, if I know that half the people are going to die on this game, and that specifically I'm teaming up against somebody, the other person in the world that I care most about, then I would have called for a vote. And I feel like a lot of the other people in that game would have been like, hey, well, we feel tricked, and we don't want our best friend to die. So
that was the brilliant thing about that round, because
everybody
thought that they were probably pairing up because of this might be another physical game, this might be another this or that and the other. Everybody was, when they picked their partners for, and obviously the husband and wife, they were going to pick each other because they knew that they could trust each other. But it was a perfect scenario to pin people against each other. It was an instant way to take out 50% of the remaining cast.
But I mean, so in that situation where you find out what the game is, you find out what the twist is, what would you have done? Because I would have been I remember the rule about voting. I'm gonna vote to.
I don't think it would have mattered at that round. I don't think it would have mattered because they were pretty much the only couple that was there. I don't think anybody else would have cared.
But everybody else was paired up with somebody that they valued to some degree,
maybe, but not to the extent of those two.
Yeah, but I mean, I still would have. I mean, if anybody was to vote, I feel like I'm surprised that couple.
I see what you're saying.
Speak up.
I would, if I was them.
That's what I'm asking. What would you have done?
You're right. The same thing you're saying. 100%. If I was them, yeah, I would have been like, "Hey guys, can we talk about that voting thing?"
Yeah.
But I would have been 100%. But and then
and that would have actually been a good part to the story, is to have them call for a vote, right?
Yeah, they would have
lose the vote, and then
that would have
they
been
have
perfect.
to compete against each other, because then it's like then he could have been, then him hanging himself may have made a little more sense, because he could have looked around him and been like, "All you motherfuckers made me play this game,
made me kill my wife."
You know what would have
been the messed up thing about it is it was like I'd have been like, if I was one of those motherfuckers that he was mad at, I'd have been like, dude, like now you're just mad because you have survivor's guilt because you caused your wife's death. She could have easily. What if she'd have beat you? I'm like if she would have won and then he'd have died. What if she would have won the whole damn thing? You don't know. You don't know what would have happened. She could have been the one to win the whole thing.
Well, but I mean, like, I don't know if, assuming they had kids, like, maybe they didn't have kids. I was like, if they had kids and he hung himself, that's some bullshit.
To have a husband and wife there, I'm gonna assume they probably didn't have kids.
Did not.
I'm gonna assume they did not because.
But a lot of those people had kids.
A lot of them did, but
yeah.
But usually, I mean, but a lot of them were like just like our hero. They were in a situation where they were divorced and they had something to prove for that kid. That's the motivation to join. But a couple, I'm like, usually in that situation, like you know how couples always are like, let's not travel together because if a plane crashes, then our kids are orphaned. But if one plane crashes, then they'll still have the other parent. They both chose to go together. So I'm assuming because
I'm gonna have to assume they don't have kids.
I'm gonna assume that they don't have kids because I would think that the wife, at the very least, the wife would have been like, fuck no, didn't you see all those people getting shot and die? There's no way I'm gonna go back to that thing and risk not, our kids not having parents. The wife at the very, I can see the husband being like, come on, baby, let's try. But the wife, no way. I don't see the wife going back. I don't think they had kids. I don't think they did.
But either way, his response to winning, like to be so devastated by it, to hang himself, I'm surprised. If that's how bad he felt about it, why wouldn't he have tried to bring a vote to the table?
That would have been
and
that would have been
that would have been good because then it would have been like, well, he tried. And everybody else was like, greed. Nope. Yeah, people are, because the point they tried to do at the end was when the dude's laying in the hospital bed and they make that bet about the homeless guy, he's like, do you trust people? Do you trust that humanity's good, that anybody's going to help? That would have brought you back to that moment where it's like, you knew that this couple was pitted against each other. You knew that you were pitted against all your, people that you care about, people that you pick closest, and yet you motherfuckers still chose to continue the game. That would have like really driven that point home
for him to commit suicide. Yeah.
Well, not just for him to commit suicide, but that people's greed is oftentimes more powerful than their love.
I honestly, and I know what you're saying, but to play devil's advocate and put my mind into my head, because I could empathize with what would probably be going through my head if I was one of those MFers who didn't give a damn about them. And look, hey, I can understand one person, these individual people who saw all that killing and decided for themselves to come back for whatever reason. Y'all were a couple. There was at least one extra opportunity for some common sense to talk you out of coming back. But y'all both, as a couple, decided to come back. Like, fuck you guys. You guys, you saw all those people get shot and y'all both still decided to come back. So, like, no, y'all came back. Like I would have been like, this is just me being the asshole. If he would have tried to stir up that pot, I would have been like, you thought that because you were a couple, that you had a mental advantage over all of us who are forced to try to make friend relationships and alliances with these strangers that we don't know. That's why that's another thing that probably made y'all come back, because y'all thought y'all had a mental advantage, which you kind of did until the marble game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, if I was just one of those regular folks that they would have probably been complaining about that too, I'd have been like, no, screw you guys. You're just mad because these sicky billionaires have come up with a round that cut your alliance, your little thought process. It knocked it out. That game, those games turned out to be 100% fair from beginning to end. It eliminated all types of possibilities of cheating or gaining advantages. It didn't matter. In some games, it didn't matter about how weak you were, how strong you were. Smarts, and like the old man proved it. I'm like, he wasn't the strongest person at all, but because of his knowledge of tug of war, was the only reason why his guys survived, because of his knowledge.
See, that was actually one problem I had with the whole thing. With the twist at the end. I don't. Do you want to talk about the twist real quick?
I predicted that he was in on it from the very. I didn't think when he supposedly died after the marble round. I thought, well, there goes my theory. I was like, wouldn't it be funny, because usually stories like this end with a crazy twist like that. Like, wouldn't it be funny if the old man was in on it the whole time? But then I was like, oh well, okay, well, he got killed with the marble thing, and I never thought about it since. But then at the very end, when we saw that he was in on it, then I made myself remember, oh yeah, but we never saw his body.
I didn't. So when you first met him and he was 001, I was like, there's something about this guy, right? there's got to be there because there's some significance to being the first person, the number one. But I didn't think that he was like the leader of it or
the
anything.
whole
And so I quickly forgot about that. And then he, supposedly dies. And then I didn't think about it. So that twist actually caught me by surprise. There were several things.
That was the brilliance of it.
Yeah, several things we predicted, like the brother being the leader, like the cop's brother being the leader. That was something that we predicted. There were a couple other things, man. I'm trying to.
I thought the brother was going to turn out to be just one of the winners who just had a new life somewhere else.
I was like, we're like, that would be a twist if his brother was in charge,
one of those guys.
And I was like, he'd have to be the head guy, because if he was just one of the guys in the pink or purple suits, and his brother was to find him, he'd still get killed by the leader. So I'm like, the only way the cop could make it out alive or have any chance of making it out alive is if his brother was the one in charge. Because that guy called the shots.
But do you not think that the brother who was running the show, who turned out to be the cop's brother at the end, do you not think that he was one of the original players and winners? And then
that part I didn't see.
I think because I was in that room where the cop detective brother was found all those names and those files.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, I think his brothers was one of the winners. I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again, but I might be wrong. But I think
his brother was one of the winners, and
brother was one of the winners.
It showed that
he got his money, but then he was convinced
decided to come back.
He was convinced to, hey, we gave you this money, so salary isn't a problem. I need you to help run. You know how this shit works now. So will you come back or maybe they didn't give him a choice. Maybe they were like, we gave you this money.
We will kill you.
We'll kill your family. Like we like your mentality. Run this organization for us.
I don't think it was forced or coerced, because he seemed pretty committed. Like
he seemed very committed.
When he caught the guy, the doctor and all those guys, and then had them killed, his line where he's like, I don't give a shit if you guys are making money on the side. I care about the integrity of this game. And then
you're right. He really cared.
He said, I don't know if it was that same scene or a different scene where he said, this game out there, life is unfair. This is the only place where everything is quote unquote fair. For these guys to make money. I was like, okay, this guy believes
he became
in this game.
He became a believer. Big time.
And so I think my camera's off. So that right there, I was like, I wonder if this guy played the game and that's why he cares so much about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't make the connection that he was one of the winners until they showed him in there.
But to care like that's to me makes him as a villain, makes him that much. I feel like in every movie or TV series, the best villains are the ones who feel like what they're doing is right. When they feel like in their heart that they're doing the right thing. Because in real life, that's what real life villains are. Real life villains generally believe. They all think they're the hero.
Yeah, like if you go to any Genghis Khan, Hitler, anyone you could consider to be a villain, they thought that they were morally justified most of the time.
Yeah.
They were committed to a cause. They thought they were in the right. But then they lose, and so history writes them as the bad guys.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're right.
The winner writes them,
history,
but
the history is written by the conquerors. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, but all the people on the losing sides felt just as committed, as the winners did, or otherwise they wouldn't have been fighting for most of the stuff.
Here's a funny thing that's happening, like on like one of the things that threw me off. Like this to me speaks on how brilliant the old man was throughout the whole thing, because he was at that mentality where he was so bored of his life and everything that he's done and stuff. So he decided to throw himself in as number one in this game, this very deadly game, knowing the whole time the risk and all that. And you could see, like, he explained himself, like he's like, I'm like to feel alive again and have fun. He was really that's what cracked me up about the old man.
He was enjoying it.
He was really fucking enjoying it. It was crazy.
The first scene when they do the
red light green light game.
Like
he was happy as hell.
Yeah, so you knew his backstory, and so you're just assuming he's crazy. He's this crazy, like you're assuming he's out of it, kind of like
I thought he was just reliving his
dumb
childhood or something, but he was doing a lot more.
Well, it's like a lot of comedic relief is they make you got to have one kind of dumb person, right? Who acts funny, but it's funny because they're kind of dumb or oblivious, right? And so he seemed just kind of like I'm smiling as I'm playing this game because he doesn't really fully grasp what's going on. But then it's funnier looking back and being like, he completely grasped everything that was going on, and that's where the smile was coming from. The smile wasn't coming from like he's oblivious thinking he's living his childhood marble games.
Thinking he's senile,
his genuine smile was like he's the mastermind of this whole thing, which makes him just like you go from seeing him as being one of the most genuine, pure, innocent people in here to being like
the most
devil,
the most sinister, the most and like you said, the devil and stuff. And still somehow I was still able to understand him. It was crazy. It was crazy. Like he said, he said that real. He said that the one thing that people without money and people with too much money have in common. He broke all that stuff down.
That part I thought was bullshit. That part I thought. Do you remember?
I'm paraphrasing. I was going to paraphrase, but do you remember what he said? What did he say? Again?
Yeah. So the whole premise I thought was bullshit. It's kind of like people to me who, I don't know if you've ever worked with anybody who they want to be at work all the time, and when they get time off, they're like, I don't even know what I would do with my time off. I'd be so bored if I had to sit at home all day. Like to me, that's kind of what his argument or his reasoning reminded me of. I'm like, listen, if you're the type of person where you get time off and you're so bored because you don't know what you'd be doing other than being at work, I can't. I could. To me, you seem like a boring.
That's an implication person. That you have too much money or something like that.
That kind of person in the real world, like to me, I'm like, that's just a boring fucking person. Like if you're telling me you get free time and you can't find anything fun to do, whether it's watch a movie or read a book or write a book or take some classes or enjoy time with your family, like what kind of fucking person are you that you can't enjoy time off, that you're sitting there at home and you get bored within the first day of being off? Like to me, I could be on vacation for the rest of my life if I knew I had money, and I'd be totally happy and I would never get bored because I'd always have something to do, whether it's helping myself learn something, whether it's doing something creative, making music or art or whatever, or so his argument at the end is like, these people have all this money and they get bored. I'm like, well, that's your fucking problem. You're just a shitty person at that point, because like if it comes down to the end and you're like, well, I have too much money, and I mean, first of all, like just in Houston, there's no way you could go out and eat every day at a different restaurant and you'd probably never eat everything that there is to eat. And that's just eating. That's just one activity. There's so many different activities and things you could do in life with those kind of resources. And so they chose out of boredom to just watch people die in horrific ways. Why couldn't you be the type of person where you get joy out of helping people instead of doing that?
In a sick, and I know exactly what you're saying. And I feel like in a sick way,
there are people like that.
He was actually, I feel like in a sick way, his character was doing that because
he felt like that with the winner.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, if you break down 100% what they were doing, every sick thing that they were doing for their own personal entertainment, like those other billionaires, the Southern guy who was trying to get with the detective and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, these are guys who, at their core, are used to never being told no and all that stuff. Like you can tell that this was a guy who, in the States, he's a man's man. He has his wife. He has his image and stuff. But now that he's flown overseas to Korea, now he's talking to an attractive male, and like that whole scene. When he was being flirtatious with that undercover cop and stuff and saying, if you do this for me, maybe I'll let you live, blah blah blah. I can already tell 100% because I've seen guys like this. That was a scene of a guy who in public and in the States, his image at home was 100% the opposite. Like entertaining like a same-sex relationship and all that stuff. That's not the image he was probably portraying out here in the States. But now that but over there in secrecy and all that stuff, with having all the money in the world, he was free to do whatever he wanted, whenever he want, to whoever he wants. And I think that's what with the old man, I think that was the thing. Like I feel like at the core, the old man who created the whole Squid Game thing thought that he was doing something good. Not only doing something good for one person who would win the game, but he probably felt also they were probably convinced that they were also helping their country's economy. They were getting rid of all these people who were in debt, putting them out of their misery, stop being a drag, I guess, on the economy, and then and in exchange, turn one of them into a millionaire, so their conscience, I guess, would be clear. I don't know. I feel like there's a bunch of ways that they can justify it, but
yeah, but then in my argument would be like, well, they'd have to be some of the dumbest people on the planet if that's the best way for them to
well, they were bored.
Yeah. So I mean, so what it really comes down to, because there's a million ways they could have given out that prize money. Yeah. Right. There's a million different
but they chose the shitty, nastiest, grimy way to do it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they wanted to see people die and suffer and go through these horrible competitions and lose people they care about. Like that's what they got off on. And I know there's people out there like
it was probably about control, because every winner, just like the cop's brother, he was one of the winners and he became one of the believers. They knew that after going through this trial of fire, in the end of it, you probably wouldn't turn on us. That's probably those. It was probably a big sinister plot.
But I mean, just to me, like for that to be like that was his big explanation of the why behind it. Yeah. And I'm like, that's such a bullshit explanation, because, I mean, yeah, there is the type of person out there. Like going back to the work example, like, yeah, I know that there are people out there who, if you give them a month off of work, they go stir crazy, sitting in their house, they get bored, and they want to come back to work after a day or two. Right. Like I know there's people out there, like, because I've met them, but there's also a lot of people out there who you give them time off and they're gonna stay occupied with their time for the entire month or whatever. You could give them years off and they would never get bored. And so they're saying like these people with all these, like he was, so his comparison is like the thing that the people with no money, with not enough money and too much money have in common is they both get bored with life or something, or they're they're not satisfied. I almost feel like that's one of those arguments where people are like, well, money doesn't bring happiness. And it's like, yeah, that's bullshit, because money solves a lot of problems and a lot of people would be a lot happier. And I almost feel like that's one of those lines that rich people want poor people to believe, so they don't fight for money hard enough. Yeah.
I mean, his argument wasn't money. His argument was being in a situation where you have so much money that the word no doesn't even exist. Like
Yeah.
there are rich people in the world who still like penny pinch and save and clip
Yeah.
coupons and stuff like that. Then there are the mega rich who were born that way, and that's all they know, who act like assholes, and they're like, well, hey, homeless guy, why couldn't you just be like me and just be born rich? What the hell's wrong with you? Like people who just don't get it because they but that old man knew what it was like to be poor and knew what it was like to be rich, and then created that game. And then I just think that old man was just at a point where he just felt like, oh my, I'm lost. I've gone too far with this, and he was just ready to end it all. And like he just probably just wanted to come up with a clever way to. I think that old man, when he got cancer and nature was like, dude, you are an asshole who did this and created this crazy thing. So karma gave him that brain tumor. I think when he got that brain tumor, I think that was when he realized, this is probably my karma for starting this whole messed up billionaires Squid Game thing. And so the best way, if I'm gonna go out like this, I'm gonna go out with a bang. I think that's why he entered himself into it, because he realized
but if he thought it was karma, you think he would try to like that would be an awakening where he would try
to end it.
Well, he would have to realize and admit that he had done something wrong. He didn't feel like that at the end. He felt like he felt like the ultimate thrill was still the game, and to the point where like he was gonna be there to watch it with him, but then he was like, you know what? After competing, watching it's just not the same. Like it was still the ultimate pleasure for him to be a part of those games at the end. So he didn't see anything wrong with it at the end, and then he justified it through saying, well, you know, if you have too much money, you just eventually get bored, because I mean, what are you going to do with all that money?
I don't know. I feel maybe he was.
There's no way I could go volunteer at Habitat for Humanity with my time. You know, I got to kill people.
That would be an interesting avenue to try to because it really begins and ends with that old man. To dive into that old man's psyche. That's why that character, especially when that twist revealed that he was the mastermind behind the whole thing. It made him. He was interesting from the beginning to the end.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he turned out to be the mastermind, he became even, to me, 10 times more interesting. It was like,
oh yeah,
you created this. Like it could be one of two things. Either he created this monster because he believed in it in the beginning, and then at the end he was like, I don't believe in it anymore. So I should. So to punish myself for creating this monster, I should be destroyed by this monster. And then he winds up. Here's the part where I agree with you. I feel like here's the part where I don't sympathize with him. If he really was feeling guilty about the monster that he created, because
he would have ended it.
He would have allowed that employee to shoot him when he lost that marble game, or when he quit that marble game. But he probably told that guy, point your gun in the air and just fire it, because you ain't shooting me. Like fuck that.
Yeah.
So it became, I don't know. It could be one of two things. He probably just wanted to just see what would happen with his new friend, or he just died. He still was a monster through and through.
Well, because what he said was he told the guy, he's like, I let you live, and he did, because he played dumb, playing like he didn't remember if he said odd or even. So he let the guy lie to him, and then revealed that he knew that the guy was lying to him at the end, and being like. He's like, but is it fair that you cheat an old man out of da 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 da? And then, but hands him the marble anyways, right?
He put the star of the show through that emotional trauma, making him feel guilty for taking advantage of an old man.
He loved it.
Knowing the whole time that he was in charge of the whole game.
Yeah, that's what makes it so interesting. I don't think he felt any guilt at the end.
Yeah,
I think he loved it until the end, and because he was smiling about it, he thought it was a brilliant thing, and then he, like at the end, there wasn't any guilt, and he was trying to explain his reasoning behind it, hoping the guy would understand that. Well, hey, we're just like you poor people, except for we have the same problems. We're just on the opposite end of the spectrum, you know.
I feel like he was like he was a dude, because at the very end, even at that very last moment where he was trying to play that one last game, like, will I live longer than that guy out in the street?
Like that's what drove him was the suffering of people and gambling, And so because the game was gambling too. Like the rich guys were all betting on their racehorses.
Yeah.
And that's the example he used at the end. He's like, well, you like racing horses, right? You guys are the horses. So he was trying to bring it around to him, be like, look, I'm some rich dude sitting in the stands running a racehorse sort of thing. And I'm
instead of
still
using
betting
horses, I use human. Like there's so many ways you could. That's what makes that old man so fascinating, because there's so many ways you can interpret it. It's like if you ask a hardcore liberal like PETA type of a person, in a way, he brought all of that down. Like I hate the way you're treating all these helpless, defenseless animals. And now you know how those helpless, defensive animals feel now, because this crazy rich man brought you down to that horse's level. So now you know, Mr. I think, woe is me. I have debt and I have my problems here and there and the other. But yet that defenseless animal isn't in that situation and whatnot, and y'all still gamble on them and bet on that defensive animal. And so I think, like, in a way, you could say that a hardcore PETA person would be like thanking that billionaire for bringing that mentality down to, okay, now you know how those horses feel because now you're the horse, or something. Like, there's a whole bunch of ways you could justify it, or he's a sick old man. like there's a whole bunch of ways where you can play devil's advocate with that. That's why I find that old man character so interesting. You can defend him and you can easily blame him at the same time, and all of it is correct in my opinion. He was so complex. He probably thought he could have been a monster who later was consumed by his karma. Or he could have been a person who thought he was doing something good for his community, or I don't know. I would accept any answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million ways to rationalize evil, and I feel like that kind of I don't, and that's what I was saying. I think his explanation's bullshit. I think his reasoning's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other ways you could get the same results. There's if it's out of boredom, there's so many things you should be able to do as a human being, especially if you are in that class of human being.
Yeah. Like,
you're running complex organizations. You have the computing. I can see really dumb people, getting bored easily. But it's hard for me to see a really intelligent person being able to justify getting bored easily and not having a good solution
to the point where you want to hunt.
Boredom.
Yeah, to the point where you want to hunt people. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
what do you think that started?
What
if you were to guess? When do you think? How the hell do these billion? At first it has to start off in a private conversation. They're drinking and smoking and laughing. Wouldn't it be funny if we just hunted these poor people or made them fight it? Like, it had to start as a joke somewhere in these conversations, and then somewhere down the line it became too real. Like Biff, are we really doing this? Are we about to kidnap these people? Yeah. Our lawyers say that we're good. It's crazy. Where did this shit start?
That would be an interesting thing to do, either in the next season or a separate thing, is to do the backstory of the rich guys to show them in their personal lives. Because like you're saying, that with the Southern guy, you're like, well, I've seen people like this, and he's probably leading a double life where back home people think he's the saint. And I mean, you could really say that about most really quote unquote evil people who've done despicable things. Those people all have mothers. They all have family that love them. They have friends. Like you don't get to stay in a position of power unless a lot of people like you. I mean,
or fear you. I mean, I feel no matter what it is, you could be a janitor or you can be a billionaire. If you are in a situation where the word no isn't heard as much, as anybody could become corrupt. If you could be the purest of heart, but once you, as a human being, once you learn that you can get away with this, I push this boundary, I got away with it. I push this next boundary, I got away with it. Once you start seeing that you can constantly get away with stuff, then I feel like that a little bit of a drip, your morals or your morale or your humanity starts to
that's the whole power
fade away.
Power corrupts.
Yeah,
absolute power
corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, and but that's what I'm saying. Like any any evil dictator, world leader sort of thing, even people that we don't see as evil, a lot of them do really evil, shady things, but they justify it as they're doing the right, or they're doing, because everybody's, you can use the terms good or evil, but I really just view most people as just self-interested.
It's just
it's just
opinions.
But they view their nuclei, who they're benefiting, differently. So it's like when you have different countries that go to war with each other, right? Both
sides think they're
both
in the
sides tell themselves that they're the right, and in a way they are, because they're both fighting for their families, for their land, sort of thing.
If there was a planet on another universe, another Earth, an Earth similar to ours, where murder was legal and all these crimes that we say that are illegal, but on their planet it's all good, it's all game, and that's their world and they love it. Hey, to us that's wrong, but to them, they're right and we're wrong. So it's like I agree with that statement. There is no right or wrong. There's only opinion. I mean, if the reality is that whatever this law that we passed is the law, and everybody agrees with it, I mean, that's just it. It's like we could find a world where wearing shoes on our feet to them is considered the ultimate sin. But over here on this planet, in this reality, it's like, dude, I'm putting some shoes on. I don't want to step on a nail. It's all opinion. There is no right or wrong answer. Shoes are good, or going bare feet could be good. It's just, it all depends on the person. If my metaphor made any kind of stupid sense, but
no, I mean, you have that even on our planet. Forget traveling to other planets. You just go to different cultures, different religions,
nudists.
And you look at yeah. I mean, you look at the different rules, or even take like one religion and travel back in different time periods, and what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right. Depending on what time you're living in. Yeah. So that's what I was saying. Like these rich people in the show, these billionaires, like they. It would be interesting to see their home lives and their backstory, because you would see them as the loving parent, right?
I guarantee you that
Papa Bear.
I guarantee you that guy that tried to have sex with the who he thought was a waiter. I guarantee you at home he has a wife, kids, he has a reputation.
Yeah,
he's probably a preacher for all we know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And that's what I'm saying is that those people do exist in reality, and they do things like that in reality. They like travel to other countries to do stuff that
they know they can't, they won't get caught over there.
Yeah.
I've seen it when I worked overseas, and
Epstein.
Yeah, Harvey.
Perfect. That would be the type of people running this.
Epstein or Weinstein, which was, but
Epstein. Weinstein was the director.
Yeah. But yeah. I saw a guy like that. I remember seeing a rich guy out in Thailand. It was it was hand in hand.
That's one of the places to go.
That's one of the places to go. I've been many times. It's another topic to talk about.
Well, for that specifically, I
got some stories. Yeah, I got some stories. But I saw a rich guy. I think maybe he was from England or something like that. But I could see he was like walking hand in hand with another man out there, and I don't know his story. For all I know, he was an openly gay man, out on the stroll with his husband or with his lover or whatever. But odds are, based on the conversations that I had out there while I was out there, odds are he was a straight married man who was on vacation, getting away from his reality to live his truth in secret, in a place where he could get away with it.
He wasn't straight. He was just closeted.
He was just closeted, exactly.
Yeah.
So and I heard those stories a lot. I was like, yeah, dude. I was like, yeah, Chris. A lot of men who are whose their reality is nuclear family and all that stuff out there. They travel when they get away from their family. They travel out here to live their fantasies or their truth or whatever, and it happens more than you think. And I was like, man, that's. I would be fascinated to, like, in a season 2 or so, to dive further into the other people that are involved with the Squid Game.
And I'm gonna be right back.
Okay, so what I like about the whole Squid Game idea. Let me see if I can go full screen real quick when I talk about this. what I like most about the whole persona about the Squid Game is the fact that there's no way of knowing who's all involved. Like that whole thing at the end about him saying like because our hero of the story was he told his history that he goes on strike to fight for what's right. He lost his job and he was a justice warrior, and even in the end he had to be that, and at the expense to compromise the gift that he was given. Like now you really have the means to take care of your daughter, to not be in the lower class of society in this country anymore. This is it. You've made it. You've gone through this hell and you came out the other side. And it was still more important to him to fight. Because he just seems like that was the problem with this character, or the brilliance of this character, of how well this show was written. Even because I guarantee you, the majority of the people who fought in that Squid Game would have taken that money and ran. But he was the one dude who won the whole damn thing, and was still at the very end was like, I gotta keep fighting something. The star of the show was still one of those guys that were like, he was a justice warrior. He had to keep fighting something. And that was the one thing that threw me off at the end of it, because there's no way in the world that if I would have fought through that whole thing, that I would have had the balls to go up against those. I would have taken because I did the conversion rate. He won about $38 million.
Mm-hmm.
I would have taken my money and
Take
fucking
the W.
I would have walked away. They would have never heard a peep out of me after that. I would have just been like, I'm done. There's no way in the world. Maybe on my deathbed, maybe I would have wrote a book. Maybe. But that's about it. Well, what do you think about like if you were to speculate on a season 2? What would you look? Because to me there will be a season 2.
There's gonna be a
Squid
season
Game
2.
is about to be, if it hasn't already crossed the line already, it's about to become Netflix most viewed, most popular series of all time.
Did you see that? Did you see that graph I showed you? Can
Yeah,
you pop it up on the screen?
Let me see if I can.
It's gone viral. It is the most popular. Like they had The Witcher on there. They had what other shows they have?
They said it was on path. It's going to overtake as the most popular series of YouTube. Like at first it was Bridgerton. Now it's about to be Squid Game. Join.
Here it is. Yes, yeah. Squid Games. So they had The Witcher, Tiger King, and then Squid Games was just like, whew, like I don't know if you can see this.
I'm looking for it. I can't find it. Hold on, 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me see. I think I heard a knocking at the door. Hold on 1 second, real quick.
Sure.
Oh, they got it. Never mind. I thought I had to answer the door real quick. No, I can't pull it up. I know I saw what you were talking about, but that was a discussion that Squid Game is now if it hasn't already taken it, it is about to be, or it already is, the most popular Netflix series on Netflix. So, yeah,
because the second closest one was Witcher, and that was like 50. I'm guessing million or something.
Yeah.
And this one, the graph maxed out at 100, and Squid Game was up at 100.
Yeah. But yeah, so that
which is interesting for a show that has subtitles, because I almost didn't watch it because of the subtitles. Like honestly, I was like, I don't know if I can, if I want to read, like not just a movie. So I thought it was a movie. I thought, okay, I can do a movie with subtitles once. And then I saw it was a series, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to watch a whole series that's subtitles. And then just kind of ended up watching it one day, and I was like, oh, it's pretty damn good.
I'm kind of proud of us as Americans now, because that was that for years, for decades, because Hollywood in the entertainment industry, America is in the lead of everything. We run the show, but I think we've become more of a diverse, and maybe the pandemic also helped this along too. Our way of thinking about being willing to open our minds up to other storytelling. I think that's another reason why the movie Coco for Pixar did so well. Another thing, I think this new generation, our current generation, and the generations in the future are now more open minded to, because I grew up in that. I'm Generation X. I grew up in that mentality too. I wasn't gonna. This movie is subtitled. There's no English dub version. I'm not watching that shit. I was
but
like
not
that
only
too.
that, yeah, not only that, but the production value in a lot of other countries has gone way up.
It's gotten better.
Yeah.
But good story. I feel like good storytelling is good storytelling. Where like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, if this show would have been a hit in Korea or whatever, the powers that be in Hollywood would have been aware of it, but obviously the regular average viewer in America would not have been aware of it. So an American version of it would have had to have been made. But now with social media, the way things have become more open and whatnot, now this generation now is like more open-minded to subtitle stuff. And like you said, the production value has gone up. Storytelling, they stepped their game up. So it was like, where 10, 15 years ago, a popular series like this would have needed an American version of it. Today, it was like, I don't care that this is the Korean version. This is a good ass story, and I watched it and I enjoy. And I don't want an American version of it. This story can lead off into America, but it could also go. They might go to England. They might go to. This story can go anywhere. I don't think there needs to be an American version. Maybe 20 years from now, maybe Squid Game, a movie could come out that's based on the series, could happen in the future. But I think that this series could stay exactly in the universe and the way it's at, the way it's in. It could lead off into other countries, and I think they opened the door with that.
Well, it's gonna have to go into other countries.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, just because of where, like you're saying, all the billionaires, they're mostly like white, and then I think like maybe Hispanic or Latino.
Yeah, some of them were some
guys,
from America, some from.
But,
I feel like those billionaires were from all over.
Yeah, so if he's hunting them down, he's gonna have to, find them in wherever they're from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which to me is as fool's errand. I'm sorry. These billionaires gave you this money.
I agree.
You are not going to take them now.
I thought the whole show was great until the last episode, and then I was like, this is bullshit.
He's not gonna
like
win
I would have
you might have convinced me
winning.
because you might have, but if he finds or stumbles upon, or if that detective is still alive, if that footage got out, there's a chance then there can be, with the UN and stuff, there could be multiple government investigations.
Yeah.
But only if there has to be undisputable evidence of this stuff happening and whatnot for something like that to get triggered. So it all depends on if that evidence got out.
Yeah, my problem mostly was with I'm gonna look it up on IMDb, because there's no way I'm gonna say his name right. Even listening to it, I was just like, I can't. What's the main guy's name? Is it Seong Ji-hoon? Is that his name?
The star, the main guy.
Yeah, the man. Is this him?
Yeah,
that
look
like him.
Look up Squid Game cast.
Yeah, there's no way I could have listened to this and understood what was going on. Just get like their names. I can't. It's not like where it's like, okay, that's John. He's obviously a guy. I can't even tell like the genders from the names. This is how unfamiliar I am with the Korean language.
So
I'm just gonna call him the main guy, because for all intents and purposes he is the main character in the show. Even though there were other stars, like he's the first one you meet. He's the one who wins it and ends it. So the problem I had at the end was, so in the beginning you meet him and he's a very flawed individual, right? He's squandering his potential as a human being. He works as a delivery guy. It's his daughter's birthday. He goes to the horse races and takes the money that he borrows from his mom to the horse races. It gambles it. Which means there's no guarantee he's gonna win anything, right?
Yeah.
Like he could have lost all the birthday money after telling his daughter, "I'm gonna buy you something," and then he wins the money, and then you find out, oh, he's in debt to people. So
then he got not only not only did he win, but he got pickpocketed at the same.
Pickpocketed, but
this guy had the worst look.
Well, but he would have lost it anyways, because he owed he owed like hundreds of thousands of dollars to his bank and to those guys who came and kicked his ass.
I did
right?
the conversion rate for all the
Yeah, it was like 200,000 to the bank and 100,000 to these other guys.
And the equivalent of the money that he won at the horse race was like $3,000. It
was nothing.
It wasn't a dent in what he owed, but it was. And so it was interesting about like his whole backstory about his gambling debts. It was crazy.
So his back. So the problem I had is his backstory. He's for all intents and purposes he's a bum. He's kind of a shitty person. He's kind of a shitty dad.
Yeah.
He's definitely a shitty son. He ends up joining the games because you find out his mom has terrible diabetes that she's suffering, but she can't stay in the hospital because he canceled her. He canceled her insurance.
He canceled her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably the reason why he stayed living the way he lived, even though he was now rich. He felt guilty because all his decisions, all that justification of doing what he was. If I win this money, I could do this for my daughter. If I win this money, I can do this for my mother. I won the money. I lost. For the most part, I lost it all. He still had his daughter, but a chance with his daughter. But he lost his mom. He lost his best friend. The old man betrayed him. That whole thing took its toll on him because I feel like if you were to what it was like $39 million. If you were to hand him without going through any of those trials and tribulations, if you were to hand him all of that money, he probably would have found a way to squander it.
He probably would have gambled it away
the very next day.
Yeah.
But because he went through all that shit, he's gonna that money. Like the bank was like, dude, you're a new millionaire. You why don't you put your money in these savings? Like the bank was like, what the fuck? Where are you?
But he was still kind of squandering it too. Up until he got that card.
He wasn't spending it. He wasn't doing much with it at all.
But he was, and that's what I'm saying, wasting it. Whether if you have money, that money is power, right?
I mean, it was still accumulating interest, but it wasn't accumulating.
But I mean, he was wasting in the sense that he wasn't putting it to good use, right? Whether for fun or for helping people out.
He was broken. He was after that.
So this is my problem I have with his character development or whatever you want to say is he starts out as this real shitty dude, but then he joins the game and all of a sudden he's a real good dude that cares about other people. Not saying that he wasn't capable of sympathy or anything before, but they I feel like they wanted to make him such a good guy at the end, and this is something that they do in movies. So like characters like Batman, like right, why does Batman not carry a gun? Why doesn't Batman kill anybody? Even though a lot of people view execution or the death penalty as just, right? Like, oh, this dude's bad, kill him, just get rid of him, right? Like a lot of people have no problem with that on their moral compass, but a lot of I don't know if that's just an American thing, but a lot of our writing that we do for good people, one thing we do to make them extra good is to make them feel guilty when having to do something violent. And so he, like at the end, for me, where it started breaking apart was he's at the end. So his friend from home had betrayed him countless times, starting with the rice game where with the shapes, because his friend could have told them. His friend knew what the game was, right? That's why his friend picked the triangle, and that's why he was like, when he knew that he picked the umbrella, he was like, oh God, I'm nothing, right? Like even though they weren't competing against each other, he fucked his teammates over, and there wasn't. I didn't even see even from a competitive standpoint, I don't see why he wouldn't have told them all to pick triangle. Like there was no, because at that point they didn't, unless he wanted as many people to die as possible.
Right.
But that to me didn't make sense. But it was at that point you knew that he didn't have his back, that he was willing to let his friends die. Right. And then he betrayed.
And you're saying this is, you're talking about the star, right? The main guy.
The
main guy's friend.
The main guy's friend. What did he call the pride of wherever they came from. So that was the guy he was competing against at the end, and you knew that guy had betrayed him at that instance. He betrayed him pretty much every other game he did something to betray him. Maybe not in the tug of war. He didn't do anything bad there, but then he slit the girl's throat. He pushed the other guy into the glass. He did all these other things, and yeah, the pushing the guy in the glass, he had a good explanation for these. Like, look, you would have been dead if I didn't push that guy into the glass.
Because
So-
I thought when he picked number 16 to walk across the glass, I was like, dude, you're lucky you didn't pick number 1 because you'd be dead right now. But then his friend was logical and necessary all the way to the end, even though he was doing all that fucked up stuff.
He was logical, but he still
It was immoral.
The marble game, he stole the marbles from the other guy and gave him a bag of rocks. Like he was a terrible person and killed the people closest to him, or had no problem killing them every step of the way. And so I thought it was stupid that at the end they made the main guy feel guilty about killing him or having him die, because he.
Well, I feel like
he
he knew he wasn't going to be able to win anyway. He had his ankle bitten off. He wasn't going to be able to stand up.
No. He walked over to the squid head.
Mhm.
All he had to do was take one more step, and he would have won the game. And the guards would have shot his not friend, because I wouldn't consider him a friend at that point. But he's like no. Instead, he's like, I'm not going any further. In fact, I want to vote to end this right now. To me, that's where I'm like, okay, this is stupid. They're trying to paint him. They're trying to make
you think that him redeeming himself was mistimed? Like it came out of you're right.
Well, he didn't. I didn't feel like he needed to redeem himself at that point. Like revenge isn't always a bad thing, and the guy had betrayed him several times, but instead they wanted to make him seem like extra good or whatever by making him feel so guilty that he couldn't possibly see his friend die. So he was just going to have them both give up the money, even though his friend had done all those horrible things. And so to me, like, I see a lot of movies do this where they're like, we can't put blood on this guy's hands, because even though that guy may have done this and this to deserve dying, we can't let the good guy have any blood on his hands.
You're
and
right.
not only that, when he does end up, so he ends up winning the game because the other guy kills himself. So again, he still didn't make any, he didn't do anything himself bad throughout the whole process, right? He, when the guy peed his pants, he gave him his coat. He was loyal to everybody around.
I disagree.
Well, okay, except for cheating the old guy out of the marble.
That was when I was like, all bets are off now. He was willing to cheat the old man, even though the old man called him out on it and all that. He still did it. So that was his one sin, but that one I can even see because the guy's gonna die. Like he was wandering around aimlessly. He was gonna die in the next challenge if he went anywhere. And he didn't know that the old man was tricking him the whole time.
He didn't know the old man was tricking. So to me, like, I still don't even see that as something where you could feel that guilty about it. But then he comes out after winning the prize money, and he's so, like I said, I feel like they did this because they want him to seem like such a moral person by instilling him with an extra sense of guilt, as if that makes someone moral. But really, he was just he was wasting his potential at that point. And I thought that was, for me, that's why I thought first of all, I was mad that they made his mom die, because I'm like, can't they give us one happy part of the ending? Like, she didn't need to die. But then after that, like, he still had his daughter to live for. He could have found some motivation. He could have done something good with his life.
Telling you, like I said in the beginning of this chat,
but
my
motivation
would have been to rub it in my ex's fucking face. After, like, you think your hotshot new husband is all that, calling my letting my daughter call him dad. Now I'm a millionaire now.
Because he decked the guy for being like
you can't buy my daughter. Yeah, you're not gonna buy my daughter away from me. Like like that to me. His daughter was his motivation.
Yeah, and so but then they show him, and it's like it's been a whole year after he got out, and he's just.
But he's still broken.
But he's being a bum. He's not just broken.
Like
you can feel bad. You can be traumatized. You can do whatever. But he was just being a fucking bum. But he's got millions of dollars. Go to therapy. Use some
Yeah.
of that money for therapy.
Yeah.
But fucking
Focus
take
on
care
your
of
daughter. Yeah,
take
focus,
care of your daughter.
focus on your kid.
You know?
You want to
Like-
you want
like
to play
you-
another game? Make your ex-wife jealous.
Yeah.
That's the game I
Something,
would have.
you
So
know?
yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, you're 100%
Something.
right.
But now, and I'm assuming he was taking the plane to go see his daughter. But now, instead of going to see his daughter and being a good dad, he's going to go on a warpath against these
Oh,
guys.
yeah, against the guys that you thought the odds in this Squid Game was bad. These odds are really against
Gonna
you.
be worse.
So now,
Yeah.
it's like this character. You're right. After going through all that stuff, he learned nothing. His daughter, to see his daughter was right. It's right there. It was right
Yeah.
there. Just like they
And
said,
that
get
was
on the
that
plane.
was his motive. That was his first motivation for going there.
Chaos
His
his daughter.
his motivation was to keep his daughter in Korea.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, if you can prove that you have the financial means to take care of your daughter, then they can't send her away. So that was his initial thing.
But you saw what happened in the end. Even though at the end he was a millionaire, his daughter still
daughter was
wound
still
up
in
in
America.
America with the new family. So it really didn't matter where his daughter was. What he was upset with was the fact that if his daughter left, he wouldn't have been able to afford to see her anymore.
Yeah,
and
but now he could do anything.
Now he can do anything.
He has the money to keep his daughter in Korea. He also has the money
to go see
go
her.
visit
To go
her,
see her and stuff.
in the States.
But then he he's his own worst enemy.
But he doesn't.
But he lets this whole justice fight thing, like the way when he protested against the job that he lost when he told that story, he let that stuff become more important than the whole thing he was fighting. It's like because I could understand it more if these billionaires were kidnapping, and it's like, for all we know, they are probably doing this, like sex trafficking a bunch of little girls the same age as his daughter. Then it would make more sense
those
take
are the
these
people who should be on a warpath. against.
Exactly. Then it would make more sense.
Not people who volunteered for a game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in the end, like, the people playing the game were the real villains. They were the ones killing each other. They were the ones who didn't vote to end a game.
Yeah.
They could have had a majority vote and ended the game at any time. Instead, they continued to play.
It doesn't
they
take
continued
much
to kill each other.
Yeah, it doesn't take
you
much
know,
to convince
and-
people to do shitty things to each other out of
Yeah.
greed and stuff. Yeah, you're right. They did it. The first people that died in round 1 were victims, but round 2 were volunteers.
The rich guys just had the means to fund their competition.
To watch it.
Well, I mean, they built the place, they set the games up, they had the money to set up the stage for these people, but nobody was making them play. They could have ended it. So to me, the real villains were the players as well. I mean, they're all pretty shitty, but the people, if there's anybody you're going to be mad at, it's the people who continued playing, and knowing that they were either going to die or kill other people.
How did you feel about what's her name? Old girl. What's her that was talking all that?
She
shit
was
to-
the annoying one.
Yeah, she was.
I
couldn't
stand her. Which
I
was the
hated
point.
her and then loved her at the end. Like she was necessary because I felt like as much as cutthroat and brutal as she was, hey, the one thing you have to say is she was honest. She never told you anything.
She kept her word.
She kept her word from the beginning to end. She's like, I am a piece of shit for right today, and I'm gonna be a piece of shit tomorrow.
And if you betray me, I will kill you.
Yeah, exactly. So as much as she wasn't one of those other characters like the two main guys, like the best friends and whatnot. Like you're the pride of such and such. That best friend guy was fighting for his image. He couldn't go back to being a loser because it was so important to have that image. The other guy, his friend, was fighting for like a chance for his daughter to prove that he wasn't a loser, and he was doing it mainly for his daughter. But what's her name? She was just there. Like I forgot the reason why she said she was there.
Was she the one who had just had a kid, or was that a different lady?
I think she did have a kid, yeah, something like that. But she was like this
there
character.
was-
She was just like I don't give a fuck kind of a character. She
was annoying, but
she was annoying but necessary though.
The only thing I liked about her was that she was the tool to kill the other asshole.
But at the
other
same
than
time,
that, she was just annoying
But
the
she
whole
was
time.
she was a realist and a survivor. She was and a hustler. I'm like she made it as far as she did because of her wits and stuff. Like she was like straight. I'm trying to look her up.
player?
She had no tact. I'll say that.
Was she player 07? Was she player 070? Was this her? I'm looking up the cast right now. I think that was her. Like her and like that whole thing between her and the that main villain, that gangster guy. His name is I'm looking up his real name is Ho Sung Tae. His character's name was Jong or Jang. Like he did the tattoo on his neck and everything like that. Like
He was a good character.
he was he was brutal the whole time.
Oh yeah.
Like he was the epitome of how
Scumbag.
how scumbags like him could still freaking succeed and get far and ahead and stuff. Even all the way to that glass stepping thing. Even at that very moment where he knew, all right, now it's the time for you to put up or shut up. Show us that you're a real leader and stuff. He knew he wasn't a real leader. He was like, screw that. One of y'all guys gonna have to go ahead of me and take the next step for me, or we're all gonna die.
Well, it was never about leading with him. It's just about survival.
It's just by getting that money. And he's like, if I like, this is it. I'm not gonna win. I'm not gonna succeed. But the last card that I can play is intimidation. And then his Achilles heel was this hustling, like annoying, like woman. That was crazy to me. Because usually guys like that, I was so mad. I was like, this fucking guy is probably gonna be like the finalist, like the hero or whatever of the story in him. I was getting so upset. I'm glad it didn't turn out that way, but I was so scared. I'm glad that the last two turned out to be who it was, because it made poetic sense.
Well, that would have been hard to have him as the last guy because he's physically so much bigger.
Yeah,
it would have been unrealistic. They had to have got rid of him.
Even the last three would have been bad to have him as the final three. Could you imagine him sitting at that steak dinner? He's like, the second I finish this steak, I'm killing both of you.
Well, he would have killed them at lights out.
Exactly. So the way it ended was very poetic. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hopeful that they go to another country with the season 2. I'm fascinated where it can go in this universe. I can't wait to see it. Like, final thoughts before I let you go, because I gotta hurry and get out of here. What's your final thoughts on it?
I would put it's one of the best shows I've ever seen, which I almost didn't watch it. So I would be. It's funny because I don't even know why I watched it. It's just kind of there, and I was like,
because we were talking about it on the show.
but I didn't. This was even before. So if I had found out, if I had tried to start watching it when I found out it was going to be on the show, it would have been too late. I wouldn't have finished it in time. There's no way, So I just, by fluke or coincidence, or we'll say by fate, I ended up watching the show for.
Hey, by design. Look, I'll tell you what maybe subconsciously, what might have been a contributing factor to it.
Well, it kept popping up number one.
It kept popping up number one for a reason.
Yeah.
Parasite just became the best picture at the Oscars. It's like stuff like that, like story, like good stories are being told now and whatnot, like you said earlier, from these other countries. So it's like, maybe, hey, for all you know, like maybe it was like I said, to me personally, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have given this show a chance at all. But today, I'm like, okay, let me check it out. Like a good story is still a good story. So I think it transcended past all those other things. Americans not wanting to read subtitles, things like that. It survived it went past all those things. The story was so good. It was like me and you. Subtitles isn't my thing, but for some reason, everybody's talking about it. So you know what?
Yeah.
Let me check it out.
Well, I think that's why I checked it out, as I saw, because initially, like I said, the subtitles was going to be a barrier, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to.
I don't want to read.
Season. Yeah. well, I mean, I have no problem reading, but it's reading something on a TV like that. But then I also thought it was going to be a ripoff of one of my favorite books of all time, the
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale, which is a Japanese, originally in Japanese, and there's two versions of that show. Either way, I saw the movie eventually, but I think that one was in subtitles too. But the book was way better than the show. But the show was still good. But I thought it was just going to be a ripoff of that. Just when I watched the preview for it, I'm like, oh, they're in a game, they're competing to the death. It's, surprise, whatever. So I was like, but it ended up, I'm glad I watched it because it ended up being so different from that. And not only that, it's one of the best. So it wasn't just like Battle Royale. You had a little bit of character development, but it was mostly these people get thrown in the situation. And it's just like, you have like the first, 50 pages of the book is, or maybe like, no, I think like the first like 25 pages of the book is like an intro back setting. And then immediately from page like 25 or 50, which is pretty early in a book that's hundreds of pages long, immediately it's just death and killing until the end, just like gore throughout the whole thing until the end. And I thought this, they could have done that with this kind of story, but instead there was so much character development through it, and so much philosophy built into it. And the games brought out different like elements of human psychology, where it's like, okay, what would you do if you're in an individual competition? What if you're on a team? What would, how would you do, but you don't know what the games are. Okay. Oh, now you got to pick a number. So what's the psychology between picking a number for the game? What's the strategy behind winning tug of war? They had all these things in there, along with like human drama and relationship building and morality, where it wasn't just like a show about killing and death. It was a show about like the whole spectrum of human emotion and psychology and game theory. Yeah. Like, and done scripted and done super well, super intelligently. It was a whole package show. So I think it's deserving of being viral. And I'm super, super glad I watched it. I'd recommend it to just about anybody.
Yeah, to anybody.
And anybody who's got a stomach for it.
And I would honestly, I would probably recommend it to anybody. Like if I were to speak to this is the type of show and like those types of movies where it can convince a person who, like, just like you said, me and you, I necessarily wouldn't want to watch something that's subtitled or from another country. This is the type of story that if like you can convince people who are like, that's not my cup of tea. But once you see the passion behind people when they explain it, like, no, I'm telling, like, that's the thing that usually convinces guys. I'm telling you. That's the thing we always say to each other. I'm telling you, you gotta watch it. Like it's one of those stories. You're right. Yeah.
I mean, there is they do have it. I saw the option to have it dubbed in English, but I still.
What? Oh, really? I didn't.
Yeah. So if that is an absolute deal breaker for somebody, you can still watch it with the English dub.
I did listen to it in English subtitles. I did listen to it dubbed. Yeah.
There was just something about listening to it in Korean that made it the acting and the dialogue just like worth reading the subtitles.
I didn't look into
the way they say things.
I listened to it English dub, thinking that for America that was the version for me, because I don't mess with the settings. That was the version that it gave me. I didn't think to check to see if there was a just Korean dub version where I could just force it, because I probably would have listened to it in Korean and read. I probably would. Maybe I'll go back and listen to it.
Oh wait, so you listened to it? They were speaking English
when I played on my account. When I played it on Netflix, when I played it was already defaulted at an English dub setting, but the subtitles were still there. So I assumed that's the way they presented it in America.
Oh, dude, go back and rewatch it in the. I mean, it's
because I watched the movie Parasite. And I listened to the Korean version and I read the subtitles, and I still enjoyed it. And I probably and now that you said that, I didn't think to check, but I assumed that was the American version, the American dub. But if I watch the season again, I'm gonna go back and listen to it in the original format and just read the subtitles.
And their voices are probably going to be different too.
Because you're
going to hear the original actors' voices.
Yeah, the original voice, they're guaranteed going to be different. But a lot of people don't know this, and they don't think about this. Like when so guys, if you're watching this, I know this was a long episode, but if you're watching this all the way to the end, if people Americans have said that, like in acting, when you watch something that's dubbed, I mean, that American voiceover actor can only do so much. I mean, even though you don't understand the language that the actor is speaking, it's not a perfect translation. You're not getting the full acting, because the English dub that you're hearing could be so off from you might think that the acting might be cheesy because you're hearing a voice that's not really their own. But when you listen to their real voice, then you might have more of a appreciation of the acting that they're giving you. And and I'm gonna admit it, when a lot of scenes that I watched, I felt like this was a great scene, but because I was listening to it dubbed, it took something away from it. That's why I'm thinking I'm gonna go back and watch it again, because I feel like I lost something in a scene that was probably very, very powerful. It was probably diluted a little bit because I was listening to an English voice from a guy in a studio just reading a script like, oh my God, I'm fighting for my daughter. I don't feel like he was really giving.
Emotions,
I don't feel like he was giving that range and that emotion versus the actual actor who was really getting into his character, fighting for his daughter. So I'm gonna go back and listen. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm gonna listen to the Korean version.
And this can be an interesting one to watch twice now that you know the twist and you know what role the old man really plays. Because you can go back and watch it and see his facial expressions, knowing that he was, the creator of the games.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. and maybe it would be, add a certain element of creepiness to it.
He might now be one of my favorite villains of all time. Now that dude was sinister. And for Halloween, I'll say this before we end it. One character who fits perfectly, if there was a crossover, this would never happen. The one character that fits perfectly with this whole series was as if Jigsaw went to Korea and was
he's the Korean Jigsaw.
I want to play a game. Like this was this version of Jigsaw was perfect. Like I don't know why there was some parts of the series where I was like, why do I feel like Jigsaw is gonna pop up on that screen in any moment? Because the rules were very similar to Saw.
Yeah,
there was a lot of Saw, but I could just be over thinking it. But it was an interesting show. But hey, that's Squid Game was awesome. I recommend it if you're on the fence of watching it. I don't know if you haven't seen Squid Game and you watch this spoiler review talk about it, what the fuck are you thinking? but hopefully, maybe if you didn't see it, maybe we convinced you to watch it. And I recommend it. I'm gonna recommend it to anybody that I talk about it. I'm glad that I had this chat to go over it. So before we sign off, you want to let people know where they can find you online and reach out to you if they want to reach out to you directly?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram as Jameson Everett Art. So on Instagram it's Jameson_Everett_art. And then I also have a YouTube channel called Infamous Maximus where I'm adding more videos. So either of those places.
Awesome. And that'll do it on our first official 3-hour episode of Talking Through the Medias. And
only 2 movies, and we went 3 hours.
We went 3 hours. So we had
someone stop us.
When we said that this channel was called Talking, we wasn't lying. Well, it was a good conversation. So yeah, I had fun with it. Maybe one of these weeks I'll go back to the 30-minute episodes, I promise. But it was still a great talk. I'd rather have a go too long than to be too short and not mean anything to anybody.
That's what she said.
But Nick, you beat me to it. But guys, you know where you can find me. I'm Chris. You can find me Chris W. Fagan on all the social medias. And if you want to reach out to us, put your questions, comments, concerns, your thoughts, speculations, anything that we talked about Squid Game, from what we talked about earlier with Amanda Castrillo from TikTok when we talked about Venom 2. Let there be carnage. Put it in the box below. Share your thoughts. But if you're probably watching this right now, you're probably watching the segmentized version of it where it's just Squid Game. So let us know what other Netflix or what other streaming show that we should talk about. Hey, I'm in the middle of watching Doom Patrol. So if there's a series that I can convince you into watching, James, I'm gonna tell you. I don't know if you have HBO Max. Yeah. Check out Doom Patrol. Let me explain to you what Doom real quick. Here's what I've heard that Doom.
Oh no, we're gonna hit the 4-hour mark.
We're gonna hit the 4 hour. No, in a couple seconds. Let me briefly describe. If Doom Patrol is based on a DC comic book on these very weird and interesting, complex comic book characters, and when they made this series, I was like, I don't know anything about Doom Patrol. There's some hardcore Doom Patrol fans. And let me tell you something. They were right when they were excited about the fact that there was a series coming out. Here's how I would explain Doom Patrol to you. Imagine an architect who imagine if Kevin Smith, the director, Kevin Smith, Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, you know those movies, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah.
Okay, Kevin Smith. Those are his movies.
Okay.
Imagine if Kevin Smith built a house and the interior. Now he was in charge of building the house. Now remember those movies that I explained. Now, but the interior of the house, everything that was going into this house, was the person in charge of the interior design was Shakespeare. Imagine a house that Kevin Smith built, but the interior was Shakespeare. That is Doom Patrol. This whole show, the exterior is ridiculous, but everything you get within it, the character development, the story, the drama, Shakespeare. That is Doom Patrol. That's the best description I can give you for it. So
I feel like I've seen a trailer for it because I'm looking at the picture right now on IMDb, and I'm like, I recognize the iron dude with the red eyes.
Brandon Fraser.
I feel like I've seen. That's Brendan Fraser.
Yes, that alone should be like, oh, what the hell? Brandon Fraser cranked up to the max, to level 10. Everything that you've ever seen Brandon Fraser in, he's been at a level 3. This character, he's at a 10. Like,
no way.
I'm telling you, F-bombs are crazy on this show. I am telling you. Imagine a house that Kevin Smith built with Shakespeare as the interior decorator. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I'm about to go back. Now that I'm about to end this, I'm about to go watch another episode. It's nuts. Watch it. I watch it. I guarantee. If you watch episode 1, 2, or 3 from the first, you're gonna get hooked.
But don't take my word for it.
Yeah,
Go read a book.
I'm not only he said I'm not only the president. I'm also a client. All right, guys, that'll do it for us. The first 3-hour episode of Talking Through the Media. I had fun. Appreciate you, Jameson, for sticking with me this whole time. I'm probably gonna go have another burger and go call it a night, man. I appreciate you, man.
You have a good one.
All right, man. You too. Until next time, guys. Hey, peace.
Our supporters help make all this content possible, so make sure you check out our Patreon page so you can help us bring you the content you want.
Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal. Yo. I stay turned up on another level. Push the pedal to the freaking metal. I'm turned up just like heavy metal.